Chapter 933. Qian Shiqing was surrounded by a large group of powerhouses. The weakest among them was a half-step lord, and the Godslayer path had turned out in full force. There were over 100 lord-level Godslayers. They were quite skilled in concealment and assassination, but their actual combat ability was not even on par with primitive saints. From the Python Xinjiao's perspective, this group of people was merely a side dish. However, they were full of vitality and were very appetizing. This time, I'm going to go on a killing spree and recover my combat strength as soon as possible. Kid, you'd better cooperate with me. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning my back on you. The Python Xinjiao spoke through voice transmission, coldly warning Yi Qinghan to cooperate. There were more than 100 god-slaying Dao powerhouses. In addition to some powerhouses from the dragon-soaring region, there were at least 200 of them. There were also so many half-step lords, which was an incomparably huge number. Even the Python god would have to fight for quite some time if this group of people were to gather together. With Yi Qinghan's help, none of them could escape. Yi Qinghan stood up from the city wall and gestured for Blue Demon to enter the city. This was not something she could meddle in. Blue Demon retreated into the city. The killer god path would not self-destruct, so there would be no danger in the city. Yi Qinghan tapped the air with the tip of his foot and landed outside the city wall. He held a spear in his hand and his clothes fluttered in the wind. The more he took, the more powerful the force that swirled around him became. It was so powerful that he could merge with heaven and earth and merge with it. He represented the great Tao and paved the way with golden light. His steps seemed slow, but he was already thousands of kilometers away after a single step. He looked at the powerhouses from the Killer God Path's headquarters. All of them wore masks with green faces and fangs. They were covered in an eerie, murderous aura like dark clouds covering the sky. Bolts of lightning came from the sky and struck Yi Qinghan's surroundings, but they disappeared without a trace. Before he moved, his killer move had already arrived. Yi Qinghan stood with a smile. He did not move at all, but he could still neutralize the killer move. Yi Qinghan smiled as he looked at the masses. His vigorous voice was like a thunderclap as it resounded in all directions. Everyone, I didn't expect you to mobilize such a large force. If I don't kill all of you, then wouldn't I be looking down on you? What an arrogant junior. Back then, when I told you to escape, you didn't hide properly. Instead, you actually dared to provoke us. Do you really think that our god-killing path, which has been established in the dragon-roaming region for millions of years, is a pushover? A black figure forcefully shattered the shackles of time and appeared not far away from Yi Qinghan. He was dressed in black, and there was a golden 9 dragons sword embroidered on his shoulder. His aura was like a rainbow, and he had a deep understanding of the principle of force. The surrounding spatial laws were all blocked, and his master god's might was dense. His strength was extraordinary, and it was truly rare. He was the founder of the god-killing Tao, the Dark God King. He had inherited the giant god of darkness, the giant god of darkness. Yi Qinghan's eyes shone with a golden light. The Dark God King was indeed the strongest person he had seen in his life. Apart from the Serpent and the second Sorcerer God, he was definitely a top-tier existence. The founder of the god-killing path is indeed powerful. Dark God King, you control the dark side of the world. I wonder how many inheritances you have? Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. It's enough to kill you. What about Ling Tian? The Dark God King coldly asked. What? The experts of the god-killing path seemed to be jumping through space as they constantly changed their positions. Their 9 dragon swords were extremely dazzling, and they suppressed Yi Qinghan with force. Yi Qinghan shrugged. What he needed to do now was to attract their attention and allow the Serpent to launch a sneak attack. He would cripple them all in one go and not give them a chance to escape. Ling Tian has been killed by me. I think his journey won't be too lonely. The Qianxi City branch has been destroyed by me, and not a single one is left. You guys will have to follow him. Yi Qinghan calmly said. Brat, you've angered this god. Ding, the 9 dragons' sword appeared. This sword was obviously different from the 9 dragons' sword in Ling Tian's hands. It emitted a rainbow light, and it would change into any color it encountered. It was impossible to defend against. The Dark God King's sword pierced through space and appeared directly in front of Yi Qinghan without any sword light. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's figure flew backwards and the stars moved. He did not fight with the Dark God King. Instead, he chose to flee in all directions, attracting the experts outside to gather. Everyone's attention was attracted by Yi Qinghan. The experts of the God-killing path all surrounded him, and they closed in on him step by step, compressing the space to the limit. Ha ha! Heaven and earth allow me to roam. Do you really think I'm here to die? Yi Qinghan roared as he transformed into a huge dragon that covered the sky. He swung his dragon tail and smashed it down from the void. At this moment, the serpent pierced through the void and exploded with an even more terrifying strength. Its huge tail swept up violent winds, and even the mountains were uprooted as it smashed towards the center of the battlefield. Whoosh, 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 violent winds howled, and heavy rain poured down. The sky completely darkened. Roar! The serpent's voice had completely turned into a dragon's roar. Its dragon scales emitted an icy aura, and the entire periphery of Qianxi City was sealed in ice. Whoosh! Qianxi City shone brightly, and the defensive array was activated, tearing apart the darkness. Blue Demon also joined in the defense, but at this moment, Qianxi City was like duckweed in the ocean. It was extremely fragile, and could be destroyed at any time. Boom! With a loud boom, Yi Qinghan's huge dragon and the serpent's huge tail swept across 1,000 miles. They collided in midair, and the aftershocks surged. The experts of the God-killing path, who were standing in the center of the battlefield, tore through the void to dodge, but they were still forcefully sent flying by the terrifying shockwaves. Their divine bodies exploded, and miserable screams filled the sky. The outside of Qianxi City became hell on earth. Qianxi City's defensive array was shattered, and a large number of buildings collapsed. The weak creatures cried for help, praying for the giant gods to help. The serpent opened its gigantic mouth and sucked in all the qi and blood essence into its mouth. Yi Qinghan did not have the slightest bit of pity. This era was the era of the strong. They relied on their fists. Rather than pity them, he would rather pity himself, because he could become meat in the eyes of others at any time. Die! Yi Qinghan returned to his original body. His speed was extremely fast as he continuously attacked the gods who hadn't died yet. He definitely wouldn't allow them to join forces. Yi Qinghan transformed into a bolt of lightning and broke through the joint attacks of the gods like a specter. His powerful physical body could withstand the attacks of the Master God weapons, and he did not even need the Spear of Time. His fists, knees, and elbows were the most powerful Master God weapons, and they were extremely powerful. Crack! Boom! Boom! The sound of bones and swords breaking rang out incessantly. Yi Qinghan's iron fist twisted the Master God's artifact out of shape, and his fist directly pierced through the Master God's defenses, causing his bones to shatter. Physical melee combat was definitely the most barbaric way of fighting. Yi Qinghan kept hurling the injured Master God at the serpent. The serpent only needed to open its mouth and devour them. At this moment, it was rapidly recovering its vitality. Even the Master Gods could not withstand a single attack from Yi Qinghan, let alone the half-step masters. No! Devil! You devil! We're not from the God-slaying sect. Spare us, sir! Those who were not from the God-slaying sect had initially thought that they were here purely to do the God-slaying sect a favor and to put on airs. They had not expected to provoke a devil instead. I'm sorry. Since you dared to make a move, you must face such an outcome. Yi Ching-han roared furiously. Back then, he had been hunted down by this group of people. The entire dragon roaming domain had been after his life. What was there to pity? Chapter 934. Qianxi City was in ruins. Lan Yao swept up all the spirits and fled into the distance, not daring to stay any longer. The space within a 1,000-mile radius was shattered by the serpent and could not be hidden. The god-slaying path was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Yi Ching-han was like the god of death, rampaging through the crowd. His iron fists smashed Lord God weapons, causing despair. With a sweep of his leg, even powerful lords were severely injured, let alone the half-step lords. A large number of powerhouses became meat in the serpent's mouth, becoming one with the serpent. The Dark God King was furious, but he knew that he was no match for the serpent. Moreover, there was also Yi Ching-han, who was like a madman. He wanted to escape, but his hatred for Yi Ching-han was unbearable. With a flash of cold light, the 9 dragons' sword emitted a 10-colored divine light. Die. Minor divine power, dragon slaying style. The sword whistled like lightning. The 9 dragons' sword produced thousands of sword gleams that spun at high speed in the air. The void seemed to have solidified as it cracked continuously. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of Yi Ching-han. Yi Ching-han's hair stood on end. It was the first time he felt a destructive force on his divine body. His dragon blood boiled as he roared. He swept his spear and instantly suppressed hundreds of sword gleams. However, there were too many sword gleams. No matter how hard he tried, he could not evade all of them. Boom! Yi Ching-han activated his 13 godheads. His divine power poured out, and his aura shot out thousands of miles. His aura clashed with the sword gleams, and the sword gleams and divine power intertwined. The collapse of space became even more terrifying. Thud, thud, thud. Yi Ching-han stomped on the ground and retreated continuously. There was a serious look in his eyes. The Dark God King did not expect Yi Ching-han's ability to be so powerful. The corner of his mouth twitched as he looked at the serpent massacring his god-slaying path members. He roared, "Yi Ching-han, you'll die with him! Sky-slicing divine power! Destroy the space-time before me!" A beam of dazzling white light cut open the chaos. It was as if the chaos had just been created, and all order was being destroyed and reassembled. That beam of sword light had the ability to destroy souls. Even Yi Ching-han, who had a physical body that had become a saint, was unable to stop the destruction of the sword chi. Domain. Time reversal. Yi Ching-han rose into the sky and thrust out his spear. Time and space in front of him flowed backward, and the nebula was swept up. However, his opponent's heaven-severing divine ability was too terrifying. Even the domain could not withstand his attack. He had completely destroyed his defense with his strongest attack. Dodge. This is a chaos divine ability. The serpent python warned. Yi Ching-han wanted to retreat, but his opponent was too fast. He was so fast that he couldn't escape his attack range even if he used all his strength. Dark God King was entangled with him, so Serpent God Dragon couldn't attack. Otherwise, he would be killed as well. Boom! Boom! The spear of time was bent from the impact, continuously deflecting the sword radiance. His wrist cracked, blood spurting out. Mystical mystery of strength, protect. Yi Ching-han exploded. He used all his strength and god power. Victory or defeat would be decided in this one move. Hua! The spear of time was waved in an arc. The friction caused the sky to burn. He was using the strongest attack to counterattack the sky-slicing divine ability. Boom! A stream of air rushed into the 9 heavens, shattering all living creatures within 100 miles. The experts of the god-killing path were also turned into a bloody mist. The serpent python did not hesitate to swallow them. The escaping experts were lifted up by the stream of air. They lost control and were instantly annihilated. Yi Qinghan's body was also sent flying. He slammed into the ground, creating a deep trench. The Dark God King was also in a sorry state. He didn't expect that a junior like Yi Qinghan, a newly promoted main god, could block a chaos divine ability and fly hundreds of miles away. He knew that Yi Qinghan had no defensive ability, but he didn't dare to kill Yi Qinghan. He didn't have much battle power left. If he got close to Yi Qinghan, the serpent python's tail would crush him. Yi Qinghan, you and I are irreconcilable. Whoosh! The Dark God King left behind a vicious sentence and rushed into the void. Hua! Hum! The serpent python wasn't going to let him escape. Its body flashed and its tail swung, causing heaven and earth to shake. It stopped him outside Qianxi City and smashed him into the ground. Poof! The Dark God King screamed. His body was smashed into a bloody mist. Before he could struggle, the serpent python swallowed him. This main god is still worth watching. The serpent could feel its life force rapidly recovering as a terrifying blood chi energy rippled through its body. It could not help but growl. A peerless master god of a generation had lost his brilliance after clashing head-on with Yi Qinghan. Then, he encountered the most terrifying chaos god, the serpent, and died. In an instant, the sky darkened and the earth darkened. White lightning flashed continuously in the void, as if divine punishment had descended. The Dark God King had the godhead of a chaos god. The fall of such a giant god was mourned by heaven and earth. Even if it didn't resonate with the chaos universe, it was enough to cause the small daos in this region to tremble. Whoosh! The serpent python opened its mouth and shot out a golden godhead. It was the Dark God King's godhead. There were a total of over 3,000 chaos god lattices. If one was lost, one would be lost. Unless someone was recognized by the small daos by chance, this godhead would disappear completely. The serpent python understood that this action was against the heavenly Tao. It didn't destroy the godhead and threw it to Yi Qinghan instead. Yi Qinghan crawled up from the ground pathetically. His face was pale. Only now did he understand how terrifying the Chaos Era's divine arts were. Kid, consider yourself lucky. If this guy's godhead was a little stronger, he would have executed the heaven-slicing divine art. Your soul spirit would have been exposed and you would have been killed instantly. The serpent python snorted. Thank you, Senior, for saving my life. This is the first time I encountered such a Chaos Era's divine art. I didn't have time to escape. Yi Qinghan smiled embarrassedly. He wasn't going to suffer because of his pride. If he could win, he could win. If he couldn't win, he would just be waiting for death. In the future, if you encounter experts with the Chaos Giant God's godhead, and they know the Giant God's grand divine art, run. There are a total of 3,600 Giant God's grand divine art. There are countless lesser grand divine art. They are all quite powerful. You still have a lot to learn. The serpent python twisted its body. The godhead's godhead flowed backward and surged into its body. Yi Qinghan's pupils contracted. He felt that he was going to rush into the serpent python's body. He couldn't help but run far away from the serpent python. Roar! After a long time, Yi Qinghan turned to look at the serpent python. He realized that its body was constantly twisting and changing. It seemed to be transforming. With the serpent python's strength back then, it was impossible for it not to transform. It was just that it didn't have much strength left and couldn't transform. Now that it had recovered 30% of its strength, it should be enough for it to transform. After a long time, the serpent python turned into a 3-meter-tall man. Its skin was dark and its eyes were cold. It gave Yi Qinghan a feeling that he couldn't resist. I haven't felt this in a long time, the serpent python whispered. Its eyes stared at Yi Qinghan. Its stare made his hair stand. Yi Qinghan had the thought of running away. If he stood next to such a monster, he could be swallowed at any time. Senior, don't you want to go back to the divine demon region first? Maybe you can recover your strength in advance. Then, we can work together to destroy the two camp. What do you think? Yi Qinghan wanted to divert the serpent python's attention. If the serpent python wanted to kill him, he wouldn't even have the chance to run. The 13 godheads were empty. There was no godhead left. Chapter 935. The anaconda serpent kept staring at Yi Qinghan. It did not know what the anaconda serpent was trying to do, which made its hair stand on end. It hurriedly took out a chaos god source and absorbed a portion of the chaotic energy. However, its strength was still less than 1,000th of its previous strength. I'm curious. Why do you keep fighting in your human form? The anaconda serpent asked with a frown. Yi Qinghan smiled sheepishly. He did not dare say that he was a human and not a true dragon. I'm refining my physical body. Senior, you don't have to worry. Moreover, my cultivation partner is the inheritor of the Chaos Dragon. She's a human. Yi Qinghan whispered as he peeked at the anaconda serpent's reaction. As expected, the anaconda serpent was shocked. Its aura changed as it said coldly, "What did you say? The great Chaos Dragon's inheritor is a human?" "Why yes, but she listens to me." "Senior, don't worry. She's not on good terms with the two camps," Yi Qinghan quickly explained. The anaconda serpent's killing intent disappeared in a flash. It did not say anything else. It flicked its finger and a beam of divine light shot into Yi Qinghan's body. Yi Qinghan wanted to resist, but he could not. He allowed the aura to enter his body. His expression changed immediately. "Don't worry. This is just a wisp of the origin that can help me find you at any time. I'll return to the divine demon territory for a while. I'll look for you after I recover my strength and explore this era. Don't try to hide or I'll crush you," the anaconda serpent warned coldly. Yi Qinghan's body tensed up. He did not expect the anaconda serpent to be so intelligent that he could not escape even if he wanted to. Whoosh! The anaconda serpent moved. The space distorted and it disappeared immediately. Yi Qinghan shuddered. He devoured the Chaos God Source's power wildly. After recovering half of his strength, he charged into the void to look for Blue Demon. Soon, Blue Demon had fled tens of thousands of kilometers away with a large group of living beings. They hid in a valley, trembling in fear. Yi Qinghan looked at the countless living beings with a grim expression. He asked coldly, "Do you know anything about the insane sect?" Everyone shook their heads. Even the half-step lords did not know the location of the endless star system, nor did they have any information about the insane sect. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and said to Blue Yao, "Let's go. The serpent has gone to the celestial demon region. We'll go there at different times. I have to find the insane sect first." Blue Demon nodded. If Yi Qinghan wanted to avenge him, he would definitely be able to do it. A master god like him would definitely be able to kill everyone. However, the serpent could not be resisted by brute force. Running in front of it would be equivalent to suicide. Yi Qinghan and Blue Demon sped through the plains at top speed, heading straight for the center of the Dragon Rising domain. They wanted to find out more about the insane sect. The endless solar system was too small, so small that it was almost negligible. The insane sect had Emperor Yi and many other experts. There was a large ancient city near the center of the Dragon Rising domain. It was majestic and filled with the aura of the Great Path. However, it was very vigilant at the moment. The defensive formation had been activated. Perhaps the battle earlier had alerted this place. Yi Qinghan and Blue Demon came together. Since they were both lords, no one dared to stop them. They stepped into the city directly. After asking the guards of the city, they found out that the most powerful organization in the city was the Divine Energy Sect. They entered the Tao through Qi and were quite powerful. Although they were not as powerful as the Killer God Sect, they were still a top-notch organization. Yi Ching Han and Blue Demon headed straight for the Divine Energy Sect. If they wanted to find out more useful information, they would have to go to such a powerful sect. On the Divine Mountain, celestial mist lingered. Colorful waterfalls intertwined, and thousands of palaces surrounded the mountain. There were surging airflows all around. Anyone who approached the airflows would alert the Divine Energy Sect. Yi Ching Han and Blue Demon landed at the foot of the mountain and headed straight for the Divine Mountain, alerting the heroes of the Divine Weapon Sect. Who are you? Why are you trespassing on the Divine Energy Sect? A deep voice was heard. Airflows enveloped Yi Ching Han and Blue Demon. Yi Ching Han is here to visit the mountain. Please come out and meet me, sect leader of the Divine Weapon Sect. Yi Ching Han's divine robes fluttered. Airflows spread out and his aura was magnificent. Yi Ching Han was quite famous in the Longxing region. Back then, he had managed to escape despite being chased by so many people. His name was known throughout the 9 heavens, so it was impossible for the Divine Energy Sect not to have heard of him. Now that the Killer God Sect and so many other sects in the Longxing region had been destroyed, the Divine Energy Sect had yet to receive the news. Otherwise, they would be even more shocked. Yi Ching Han? Didn't you run away? Why have you come to the Divine Energy Sect? The Divine Energy Sect has not interfered in the feud between you and the Killer God Sect. Please leave, fellow cultivator. A white-haired old man appeared on the mountainside of the Divine Energy Sect with 3 middle-aged men. 1 lord and 3 half-step lords. Such an organization was indeed impressive. The Killer God Sect has been destroyed. Now, the most powerful sect in the Longxing region is probably your Divine Energy Sect. I have something to ask you, and the Longxing region will belong to your Divine Energy Sect, Yi Ching Han said indifferently. What? The old man was shocked. There were so many experts in the Longxing region, and his Divine Energy Sect was only slightly above average. Had all the other sects been destroyed? Yi Ching Han brought Blue Demon to the mountainside in 1 step. He looked down at the old man, and his tone was commanding. The news will spread very quickly. I want to know about the insane sect. Tell me everything you know. Yi Ching Han's aura was indeed overbearing, but the old man didn't dare think too much about it because he couldn't even control his qi. He was like a frail old man facing Yi Ching Han. He didn't even have the strength to resist. The insane sect. Are you talking about the insane sect controlled by the Chaos Dragon's inheritor, Emperor Yi? The old man was drenched in cold sweat as he asked in a trembling voice. Yi Ching Han's eyes lit up, and he immediately nodded. Yes. Where are they now? Have they been in any danger? The old man bowed and replied, Fellow cultivator, the insane sect is now in the Endless Star System. I don't know their exact location, but I do know that they're currently surrounded by people from 2 major camps. The situation is dire. It seems that because of the spiritual body, one side wants to kill them, and the other side wants to take them away. The insane sect has very few powerhouses left. What did you say? Yi Ching Han's aura surged, and he was burning with anger. This old man has only heard of it. Only the crazy sect dares to fight against the people of the 2 camps. Rumors have spread far and wide. A lot of it is just hearsay. Please don't take it seriously. I suggest that you ask the real castellans of the big cities, the great demonic god's bloodline, or the people of the sorcerer tribe's camp. The old man quickly explained. Yi Ching Han could not suppress the anger in his heart. If the great demon god wanted to take them away, he could imagine them attacking the insane sect. But if the sorcerer tribe wanted to take them away, it was outrageous. Let's go. Yi Ching Han's cold voice was emotionless. He pulled Lan Yao through the void and arrived at the gate of the city. He ordered someone to adjust the teleportation location and prepared to leave the Dragon Rising territory to search for the endless star system. Now that the planes had merged into one, the small planes were just small galaxies. They all flew around the chaos plane, densely packed and innumerable. To find the endless star system from here was like looking for a needle in a haystack. But Yi Qinghan had to search one by one. Chapter 936. The galaxy was vast and there was no end to the plane. The stars in the sky were nowhere to be found. Yi Qinghan was transported to the border of the dragon roaming territory. Beyond the dragon roaming territory was the desolate ancient Tao world. It was said that the desolate ancient Tao world had a complete inheritance and was very close to the demonic mountain world. It was under the influence of the demonic mountain and was the most powerful region in the region. The desolate ancient Tao world and the dragon roaming territory were originally not connected. However, after the chaos unification, they merged together. Yi Qinghan looked at the checkpoint in front of him. The desolate ancient Tao world seemed to look down on the dragon roaming territory and had sealed the entrance. Apart from lords, ordinary people were forbidden from entering the dragon roaming territory. If not for the unfathomable killer god path in the dragon roaming territory, the desolate ancient Tao world would have probably annexed the dragon roaming territory. The killer god path was quite skilled in assassination. However, facing Yi Qinghan and the serpent god, who had unparalleled physical bodies, they could only blame themselves for being unlucky if they were killed. Don't call me by my name when we get there. I'm afraid the demonic mountain lineage is looking for me everywhere. I have to return to the insane sect first. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. He was not powerful enough at the moment and could not have a direct confrontation with the demonic mountain lineage. He reminded Lan Yao. Lan Yao nodded. Now that she was with Yi Qinghan, she had to listen to his arrangement. Let's go. Let's enter the desolate ancient Tao world. I want to find some treasures to recover my divine power. Yi Qinghan was very calm. He mobilized the sequence Great Tao and changed the muscles on his face. He was still vigorous, but it was difficult to recognize him as Yi Qinghan. If we address each other as partners, they won't suspect my identity. Yi Qinghan stepped onto the checkpoint and transmitted his voice silently. Lan Yao blushed and reached out to hold Yi Qinghan's arm. Yi Qinghan stepped onto the checkpoint indifferently but was stopped by a group of soldiers. Their cultivation levels were not bad. Most of them were at the high god level. The leader was a half-step lord. They were all middle-aged and young. It was clear how rich the spiritual energy here was and how many high gods were born. Who are you? Why have you come to the ancient Tao world? The leading half-step lord asked coldly. These people did not give Yi Qinghan face, just because he exuded the aura of a master god. In the barren ancient Tao world, only the barren ancient divine nation was the most powerful. The barren ancient Tao world was a centralized monarchy. All power was concentrated in the divine nation. The emperor was the most powerful. Every emperor was crowned by a top cultivator from the demon god mountain. The emperor represented the demon god mountain. Yi Qinghan glanced at the guards coldly. His chief god's aura spread out, causing everyone to retreat continuously. How dare you challenge the might of the barren ancient Tao world? Do you have a death wish? The half-step lord retreated a few steps and threatened coldly. Kid, if I want to kill you, the desolate ancient Tao world won't be able to save you. Remember, you can choose not to revere experts, but you must respect them. Yi Qinghan's eyes shone with a will as he looked down at the guards. His murderous aura was so real that it was enough to scare off a chief god. The guards immediately collapsed to the ground and lost control of their bodily functions. The guards' mouths twitched. They wanted to speak but could not. They were sweating profusely and did not dare to look directly at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan searched the half-step lord's memories right away and understood most of the barren ancient Tao world structure. Only then did he know that this large territory was ruled by a monarchy. There were a total of 100 nobles overseeing all directions. They were all the most powerful lords. Among them, there were 18 lords with the Chaos Giant God Divine persona. Compared to the Longxing territory or the Saint stage, they were indeed much more powerful. Near them was Daluo Heaven City. The overseer here was the exalted Divine King, a member of the royal family. His cultivation level was unfathomable. He had 7 lord-level powerhouses under him. Although their combat strength was not great, they were invincible when faced with these ordinary living beings. Yi Qinghan learned the location and rushed to Daluo Heaven City with Lan Yao. Everywhere they passed, they discovered that the living beings here were unusually powerful. There were countless small cities and counties. 3 days later, they arrived at a small county near Daluo Heaven City and stopped in the county with Lan Yao. When they arrived at an inn, Yi Qinghan asked for 2 rooms. He sat cross-legged on the bed alone and transferred the divine chaos source and some remaining pure sunlight elements to restore his divine power. He had been hurrying these past few days. His 13 godhoods were all empty. Without divine power, he could kill a chief god with his physical body alone. However, if the other party wanted to escape, it would be difficult to catch up. In one night, Yi Qinghan devoured 3 whole pieces of divine chaos source and finally filled all 13 godhoods with chaos divine power. Coupled with some pure sunlight elements, he finally recovered to his strongest state. When he arrived at Lan Yao's room, Yi Qinghan knocked on the door and pushed it open. He said indifferently, "Lan Yao, stay here and wait for me. I will make a trip to the great Havenlaw city. I will be back in 2 days if I'm fast and 3 to 5 days if I'm slow." Lan Yao wanted to go to Daluo Heaven City to take a look. She also wanted to stay with Yi Qinghan. However, she was unwilling and said, "I won't be a burden to you. We can even take care of each other. I am a chief god after all. I can charm any ordinary chief god." Yi Qinghan glanced at her coldly and replied with disdain, "I don't need you to charm anyone. Just stay here quietly. Daluo Heaven City can't stop me. I will be back after I catch a chief god and ask for the location of the insane sect." After saying that, Yi Qinghan closed the door and left the inn. He left the small county and rushed towards the main city, Daluo Heaven City. He was very low-key and safe on the way. When he arrived at Daluo Heaven City, the sky was not dark yet. The city gates were wide open and the city walls towered into the clouds. There was a separate space inside the city walls where many experts were hiding. They were all holding divine crossbows that could block the attacks of experts. Yi Qinghan restrained his aura and looked like an ordinary young man. He reported his name, Lan Mo. After getting an identity card, he stepped into the city. The lights in the city were waning and there were many brothels. In such an ancient and decaying place, there was nothing but enjoyment. "Young master, come and play. Why waste your youth on cultivation? Master, I can make you a supreme expert in an instant. Come and play." A 5-story brothel was illuminated by colorful divine lights. A large number of beautiful and enchanting women were reaching out their hands to solicit customers. They could be considered average in terms of appearance. Cultivators were all good-looking. Those who could be ranked average among the cultivators were great beauties. Their enchanting figures and charming voices could make one's bones burn. This kind of unscrupulous solicitation of customers showed that the city was rotten to the core. There were countless brothels like this in the city. Yi Qinghan walked in front of the brothel and was stopped by a woman who looked like a procuress. She was wearing revealing clothes. The men around were drooling, but no one dared to take advantage of her. After all, everyone in the city knew that the background of this brothel was not small. Even the rich young masters would not dare to act recklessly. "Master, is this your first time in Daluo Heaven City?" My Luotian pavilion has beauties from various clans. We even have demon clan experts who have transformed into human form. Our service is excellent and can make you feel as if you are flying. Do you want to come in and have a seat? The procuress swayed her waist and pulled Yi Qinghan's arm. Yi Qinghan looked at the procuress calmly. His deep eyes made the procuress's heart tremble. Oh, my lord, it seems that your cultivation is not bad. Nowadays, there are not many cultivators like you. Someone like you should enjoy yourself more. Wouldn't it be sad to be alone for such a long time? My Luotian pavilion can definitely make you forget your home. The procuress continued to tempt him. Is Luotian pavilion the biggest brothel in Daluo Heaven City? Yi Qinghan stared at the procuress and asked in a low voice. Chapter 937. Yi Qinghan looked at the madam calmly. There was no lust in his eyes. When the madam heard that, she immediately felt that she had a chance. She hugged Yi Qinghan's arm and said, "Oh, it seems like this is your first time in Daluo Heaven City. Our Luotian pavilion is definitely the biggest brothel in Daluo Heaven City. The most beautiful courtesans are all in our Luotian pavilion. We gather female cultivators from various clans. I can find you any clan you know. If I want to get some information from here, I can get it too?" Yi Qinghan asked softly. "I'm not boasting. Our Luotian pavilion welcomes guests from all over the world. In terms of information, I'm afraid it's not inferior to the world's top intelligence system. As for what information you want to get, it depends on how much you spend in the Luotian pavilion," the madam replied proudly. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. Suppressing a lord was too risky. It was better to ask around in such a brothel. At most, he would spend some supreme-grade divine crystals. After weighing the pros and cons, Yi Qinghan quickly chose to enter the Luotian pavilion. As soon as he entered the pavilion, a group of female cultivators swarmed forward like hungry wolves pouncing on a tiger. They surrounded Yi Qinghan tightly. Yi Qinghan frowned. How could such vulgar people catch his eye? Even if he really came to the land of evolution and wanted someone to serve him, he should at least have some taste. Call out the best. "I'll pick one myself," Yi Qinghan said calmly. "You have good taste, lord. You're refined." The madam's eyes were sharp. She could tell at a glance that Yi Qinghan was not ordinary. He was generous, so she personally came out to stop him and pulled him into the Luotian pavilion. "Ladies, there's an important guest. Why aren't you coming out to welcome him?" The madam looked to be in her 30s. However, she had a maturity and charm that others did not have. Some women would not be able to understand the charm of a woman who had experienced the hardships of life. As soon as her voice rang out, it immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the Luotian pavilion. The Luotian pavilion was a ring-shaped building. The hall was very spacious, and the 5-story ring-shaped building was open to the public. Both sides of the upper floor were filled with tables. Most of the tables were filled with self-proclaimed romantic men hugging some female cultivators to have fun. At this moment, all of them were looking down at Yi Qinghan from above. "Auntie, we don't like what you're saying. What do you mean by important guest? We come here every day to support you, but you don't even call us big guests. Now that you're saying something like this, aren't you afraid that you'll disappoint us old customers?" A mocking and dissatisfied remark came from upstairs, which resonated with everyone. "That's right, he's just a little brat. Auntie, don't misjudge him. When the time comes, not only will he have tofu for free, but he'll also be stained with dirty clothes." Ha! A burly man hugged 2 female outsiders and laughed maniacally. Ha-ha-ha! Guffaws rang out in the Luotian pavilion. The brothel girls were even more unrestrained, laughing and mocking with their customers. I say, sirs, please don't mock me. You are all important guests, and this venerable is also an important guest. Don't you all need to be divided among the important guests? After all, this important guest wants to pick the top courtesan. You are all important guests, so why don't you take care of my business? The madam was full of smiles. Although she was trying to provoke them with her words, it did not make them feel uncomfortable at all. When she mentioned the courtesan, many people shut their mouths. There were only a few courtesans, and one night was worth thousands of gold. Hundreds of thousands of high-grade divine crystals would not be enough. Normally, courtesans were priced in supreme-grade divine crystals. One night would cost hundreds of divine crystals, or even thousands of divine crystals. No one would spend that much money. Apart from those with powerful family backgrounds, most people would not choose courtesans. He looks so poor. If he can afford to choose a courtesan, I'll choose one today as well. A cold snort broke the silence. A young man in embroidered clothes walked out from a private room on the third floor. He held a wine cup in his hand and looked coldly at Yi Qinghan. A mocking smile appeared on his handsome face. The madam wanted these young masters to fight. Otherwise, where would she get the divine crystals? When she saw the young man walk out to provoke them, she could not help but laugh. She transmitted her voice. This young master is the second young master of the Leaping Dragon Trading Company. Esteemed guest, please don't be calculative with him. Yi Qinghan was not interested in fighting with a retard. He said calmly, "Give me a private room. Call all the courtesans with the best information to my room." Esteemed guest, a courtesan's expenses are based on time. A courtesan costs 100 supreme-grade divine crystals per hour. If there are special services, you'll naturally have to pay more. The madam smiled and indicated that there would be a deposit. Yi Qinghan snorted. He waved his hand and took out a primal chaos divine source. A supreme-grade divine source was equivalent to 1,000,000 supreme-grade divine crystals. It was very rare in the world and was a divine item that overgods loved to use. It was much more valuable than divine crystals. Convert it into supreme-grade divine crystals and send it to my room, Yi Qinghan said calmly. The madam's pupils shrank. She immediately said excitedly, "That's enough, that's enough. Esteemed guest, you're indeed someone who knows how to put on airs. Little Ling, little fox, little cat, come out and receive the guests. You won't be lonely today," the madam called out cheerfully. "Coming." A few crisp sounds broke the silence, causing everyone to gulp. Usually, even big clients would only call 1 or 2 courtesans. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to call all the courtesans out at once. Just how rich was he? All of them were as beautiful as flowers and came from different tribes. There were foxes, cats, and supreme-grade humans. 2 of them even had the noble bloodline of a chaos giant god. However, their cultivation bases were still stuck at half-step lord level. It was absolutely impossible for them to advance to lord level without a large amount of resources. Perhaps some of them were doing it to experience the hardships of prostitution, while others were doing it for enjoyment. However, a portion of them were doing it to earn resources for cultivation and would not hesitate to sell their bodies. Yi Qinghan did not look down on them. There were many ways in life, and everyone was forced to do it. It was fine as long as they did not endlessly degrade their souls. 5th floor, Qingya Pavilion. This way please, young master. The madam accepted the primal chaos divine source with a smile on her face. Yi Qinghan stepped onto the 5th floor under everyone's watchful eyes. He paid no attention to their gazes. His cold eyes were filled with a fiery aura, causing one to experience both ice and fire. It was not that there were no lords in the Luotian pavilion, but they were very obedient at the moment. This was because they could sense that Yi Qinghan's abilities were extraordinary. He was definitely not someone an ordinary lord could contend with. The courtesans had never been so excited before. No one cared more about supreme-grade divine crystals than they did. Otherwise, with their seductive faces, they would not have been reduced to such a state. Yi Qinghan arrived at Qingya Pavilion and pushed the door open. The room was very large. There was a large round table with some supreme-grade spirit fruits on it. There was also a large bed in the room. It was definitely a perfect match. It was the favorite place for men and women to enjoy life. Sit. Yi Qinghan gestured with his hand. He did not even raise his head to look at the courtesans' faces. He had no desires, and there was not even a hint of greed in his eyes. The seductive courtesans exchanged glances. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to have such an expression. They had no idea why he had entered the Luotian pavilion. Chapter 938. The procuress brought 1,000,000 supreme-grade divine crystals to the Qingya pavilion. Then, she signaled to the 7 female cultivators with her eyes. They understood what the procuress meant and nodded. Their eyes shone brightly, as if they wanted to skin Yi Qinghan alive. After the procuress left, Yi Qinghan waved his hand and sealed the door. He then moved the private room to another space. On the surface, it was still in the Luotian pavilion, but in reality, it was no longer there. Yi Qinghan placed a table full of supreme-grade divine crystals. He was very generous. Answer my questions. 1,000 supreme-grade divine crystals for each correct answer. Also, you have to promise that you won't tell anyone about my questions for a year. Yi Qinghan sat on the bed and looked at the women. He noticed that 2 of them had a slight change in expression, as if they were unwilling to accept this. The others were very excited, especially the 2 transformed beauties from the fox and cat races. Sir, we sisters just arrived and haven't received any guests yet. We don't know much. The 2 human girls lowered their heads and answered submissively. Yi Qinghan looked at the 2 girls and knew that they were the Ling sisters that the procuress had mentioned. He then said coldly, "If you don't know, then sit quietly. Sir, if it's a big matter in the chaotic universe that isn't public, I will definitely know. If you have any questions, please ask. I guarantee that I won't let you down," the little fox said excitedly. The cat girl nodded, but her eyes were fixed on the supreme-grade divine crystals. No matter how beautiful she was, she liked rich people like Yi Qinghan who didn't treat divine crystals as divine crystals. Yi Qinghan was silent for a while. He was thinking about how to ask without exposing his identity and arousing suspicion. Which of the 2 factions is stronger now? What's the advantage? How's the strength of their constitutions? Yi Qinghan was very calm. He looked at the courtesans and chose the 2 factions as the starting point. Of course, the demonic god mountain is more powerful. Their advantage is not only because they have more battle constitutions, but also because the great demonic god's inheritor, Emoli, has cultivated the demonic god codex. I heard that the demonic god codex has 108 most powerful great divine abilities, and he has learned 3 of them in just 1,000 years. Even Wu Yen of the sorcerer faction is slightly weaker. Wu Yen has to work together with someone with a battle constitution to be able to force great demonic devilry to a draw. As for a battle constitution, that's a legendary existence. With a single strike, it can kill the city lords and sovereigns of some cities. They're on completely different levels, the foxwoman said hurriedly. After saying that, she stared at the divine crystals on the table. She really wanted to take away a pile of them. A single pile was worth 1,000 top-grade divine crystals. She could only earn that much by serving others for a day. It was not every day that someone would invite her to appear. Yi Qinghan nodded and said, "Take $1,000. The foxwoman excitedly took away the pile of top-grade divine crystals and looked at Yi Qinghan again. She took the initiative to entangle herself with him. Her jade-like hands wandered around his body. She wanted to tease and make Yi Qinghan happy so that she could get more. Yi Qinghan's body tensed up. He wanted to stop her, but it would be too strange to stop a top-grade woman at this time. Moreover, he had paid for it. In order to shut these people up, he had no choice but to endure it. Aside from the battle constitution, Wu Yen and Emoli, Who else is the strongest of the younger generation? Yi Qinghan took the initiative to lead the women over. He wanted to inquire about Emperor Yi. I know that. The cat woman immediately raised her hand and said, I know that too. Young master, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. Let me answer first. The fox woman wanted to seize the opportunity. She was extremely charming as she tried to seduce Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan did not like this kind of scheming bitch. He took the opportunity to push the fox woman away and said coldly, I like fairness. Let her answer. The cat woman followed the rules. Seeing that Yi Qinghan agreed to let her answer, she immediately said, The three strongest of the younger generation are the demon god's inheritor, Mo Li, the witch's inheritor, Wu Yan, and the master of the insane sect, Emperor Yi. I heard that she is the Chaos Dragon's inheritor. Even Lord Mo Li and Lord Wu Yan have to give her face. Yi Qinghan pretended not to know about the insane sect. He put on a puzzled expression and asked, Insane sect? Who can explain the insane sect to me in detail? This question is worth 5,000 top-grade divine crystals. Of course, the more detailed the better. You can all answer. Whoever answers to my satisfaction will get the 5,000 divine crystals. Finally, Yi Qinghan changed the topic to the insane sect. Now everyone was interested. However, the two girls from the cat race and the fox race were still the most knowledgeable. Perhaps it was because human experts liked this kind of love. They received the most customers and knew the most. After the Catwoman received the 1,000 top-grade divine crystals, she immediately said, The insane sect is located in the endless star system. I heard that the founder is a young man called Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi is his wife. The insane sect is divided into the inner and outer sect. There are many disciples in the outer sect. However, the inner sect only had about 40 people at its peak. Now, there are only 18 left. Crack! Yi Qinghan's aura turned cold when he heard this. He clenched his fists and almost could not hold it in. When he left, there were almost 40 people in the inner sect. How could there be only 18 left now? Continue. Tell me why there are only 18 people left in the insane sect? Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. I heard that it was because of the ethereal body. At that time, both camps wanted to unify the chaos, but they lacked the ethereal body. In order to force the insane sect to hand over the ethereal body, the two camps began to encircle the insane sect. This led to the fall of many of the insane sect's experts. The Catwoman was a little afraid of Yi Qinghan's aura. She lowered her head and did not dare to look directly at him. Continue, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Over the years, because the insane sect has Emperor Yi, the two camps have temporarily stopped attacking. However, both sides still want to kill the ethereal body, while the other wants to take the ethereal body. However, because they are afraid of Emperor Yi, the three sides have been entangled for a long time. In addition, the remaining 18 people in the insane sect are all top-level existences. Some of them are even comparable to battle constitutions. Therefore, the insane sect's status has been elevated to the level of some of the top forces. Yi Qinghan exhaled and continued to ask, Who knows the location of the insane sect and how to reach the endless star system? This question is still worth 5,000 top-grade divine crystals. This time, everyone fell silent. Although the Catwoman coveted the 5,000 top-grade divine crystals, she did not have the ability to take them. The fox woman looked at the courtesans looking at each other. Her eyes flashed, but she did not say anything. The smart ones could tell at a glance that she was going to raise the price, because she knew the answer, but the other courtesans did not. Yi Qinghan glanced at her and secretly sneered. However, if she wanted to earn divine crystals, then let her. He did not lack divine crystals. The location of the insane sect was the most important thing. It seems that you know the answer. Tell me, how many divine crystals do you want? But don't go overboard. Because if you know the answer, so do others. It's just that I don't like to show off, Yi Qinghan said calmly. I'm not asking for much. 10,000 top-grade divine crystals. Not only will I answer your question, but I will also serve you for a night. I guarantee that you will enjoy the bliss of the world. The fox woman wriggled her body like water and went into Yi Qinghan's arms again. Chapter 939. Yi Qinghan looked at the little fox demoness who was emitting a seductive aura. Although he did not despise her, he could not accept it either. Hence, he threw 10,000 supreme-grade divine crystals to her. The fox demoness caught the divine crystals excitedly. She then told Yi Qinghan the specific route to the endless star system. Yi Qinghan could see that the endless star system was still a long way away from here based on the route drawn by the fox demoness. Even if they used the large realm gate to travel continuously, it would still take a few months. He was eager to return. However, he had to complete his act. If he left the Luotian pavilion now, he would attract attention. Hence, he said, the little Ling sisters will stay. The rest of you will take 1,000 supreme-grade divine crystals each. The fox demoness expression turned ugly. She did not expect Yi Qinghan to choose the two ignorant girls over her. She was very displeased. She took 1,000 supreme-grade divine crystals and left. The cat demoness also received quite a lot. The rest of them did not answer a single question. They only received 1,000 supreme-grade divine crystals. Although it was not a small amount, it was not enough for such an important guest. However, there was nothing they could do. Yi Qinghan was not interested in them at all. The little Ling sisters did not know much about the world. He did not know why they would stay here. Yi Qinghan was also not interested in asking. Everyone had their own way of life. The next day, Yi Qinghan left behind 100,000 supreme-grade divine crystals and left quietly. He returned to the small county, picked up Lan Yao, and returned to Daluo Heaven City. He used the large realm gate teleportation formation to travel through the huge realm gate. Wherever he went, the realm gates would be forcefully opened. If they were not allowed to use them, he would attack them until they were. Yi Qinghan raced against time, traversing through over 10 regions and wasting 3 months' time. Finally, he appeared in the covetous wolf plain. Finding the covetous wolf plain was equivalent to reaching the mythical plane. Countless small star systems revolved around the mythical plane, flying back and forth. The powerful gravitational force caused the entire star system to fly according to its trajectory. After locking onto the endless star system, Yi Qinghan brought Blue Demon into the star system and quickly found the central region. News of Yi Qinghan's appearance instantly exploded in the endless star system. He was the most powerful god in the endless star system. Even though Emperor Yi was the inheritor of the Chaos Dragon, the world only believed that Yi Qinghan was the strongest. No one could compare to him. In the end, all the faith gathered on Yi Qinghan. The largest stone statue in every temple was of Yi Qinghan, followed by the rest of the inner sect. Yi Qinghan moved as fast as lightning, heading straight for Owl War Planet. It was only a small region, so it couldn't stop him. Half a day later, he and Lan Yao appeared on Owl War Planet. Owl War Planet was now the center of the endless star system. Pilgrims no longer went to the central region. Instead, they came to Owl War Planet. Emperor Yi was alarmed by Blue Demon's aura and discovered Yi Qinghan. He couldn't help but soar into the sky and appear beside Yi Qinghan. The two of them hugged. Emperor Yi was so happy that he cried. The pressure recently was too great. It was so great that he almost couldn't breathe. A young girl like her had to face the pressure of two great factions. Only Emperor Yi could do this. Master, you're finally back. If you didn't come back soon, the Kuang sect wouldn't be able to hold on. Little Tian won't be able to hold on for much longer either. Emperor Yi said anxiously. Wen Tian, has her inherited gene awakened? Yi Qinghan's expression was solemn as he asked in a low voice. Jim, the frequency of her awakening is getting faster and faster. In the past, it would take her 10 days to break through my suppression. A few days ago, it took her 3 days. Now, it takes her 2 days. Sometimes, she can't even suppress it for a single day. Every time she awakens, she would be tortured to death. Emperor Yi said with heartache. Yi Qinghan sighed. He turned to Blue Demon and said, "This Tao friend Blue Demon is my savior. If it wasn't for her, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to return. Can you help me make some arrangements? I'll go and visit Wentian." Emperor Yi didn't ask or question. When he heard that Blue Demon was Yi Qinghan's savior, he quickly smiled and said, "Many thanks for Tao friend's kindness. Please follow me." Blue Demon followed Emperor Yi to the main sect of the Kuang sect. It was the ruins of the Yi clan. Now, it had been renovated and the environment was very good. It wasn't luxurious, but it calmed one's heart and made one feel particularly comfortable. Yi Qinghan also followed them to the Kuang sect. Under the guidance of Emperor Yi, they found the place where Qin Wentian was sealed in ice. Jian Qinxue was also there. She used the snow sealing technique to delay Qin Wentian's awakening. When Jian Qinxue saw that Yi Qinghan had returned, she immediately rushed over. She was so excited that she couldn't speak. Yi Qinghan patted Jian Qinxue's shoulder and said in a hoarse voice, "It's been hard on you all these years." "It's not hard. It's the brothers of the Kuang sect who have worked hard. Now, in order to survive, we walk on the edge of despair every day. It's good that you're back." Jian Qinxue was so happy that she cried and said softly. Yi Qinghan was the backbone of everyone in the Kuang sect. No matter how difficult the situation was, as long as Yi Qinghan was there, they would be able to overcome it. Perhaps it was the prestige accumulated from the Emperor battle that had lasted until now. Although the Emperor battle back then didn't have much cultivation, his passion and fighting spirit were incomparable. "Let me take a look at Wentian." Yi Qinghan slowly walked over to the ice bed. Qin Wentian had already grown up and was extremely beautiful. However, at this moment, she appeared extremely dispirited. Her facial muscles were contorted, and one could tell how much pain she had endured these past few days. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. Looking at Qin Wentian's appearance, he couldn't think of a better way. If he removed the soul lock curse now, Qin Wentian might feel better. However, she might be on the opposite side of the Kuang sect. Once they started fighting, it would cause great damage to the Kuang sect. "I'd rather you live an ordinary life, unable to display the strength of the ethereal body." Yi Qinghan frowned and said to himself hoarsely. He stretched out his hand and helped the unconscious Qin Wentian up. His soul slowly entered Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness. A powerful soul came from all directions, forcibly splitting Qin Wentian's soul into two. The later memories were suppressed in the depths of the sea of bitterness, sealed and locked, making it impossible for her to struggle out of the sea of bitterness. However, this Qin Wentian wouldn't be the complete Qin Wentian. Her soul might even return to the time when she was 10 years old. In other words, she might become an idiot. In order to prevent the inherited genes from erupting again, Yi Qinghan carefully removed all the possibilities of a relapse. Now, he could only pour in powerful magic energy every day to ensure that the seal would never lose its effect. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to seal it a second time. AI being ordinary is a blessing. Having the ethereal body might not be a good thing. I also don't want to let you go and let you become my enemy. Yi Qinghan bitterly smiled and shook his head. If it was anyone else, he would have already killed them without mercy. However, Qin Wentian was ultimately a child he raised. Rather than a daughter-in-law, she was more like a daughter to him. After the seal was done, Yi Qinghan woke Qin Wentian up. Qin Wentian opened her eyes. There was no longer any malevolence in them, only emptiness. Her clear eyes were like the Milky Way. It was impossible to see the source of her gaze. "Uncle, I had a really big nightmare," he thought. It was so scary, but I can't remember what I dreamt of. Qin Wentian opened her eyes and stared at Yi Qinghan. Her eyes were filled with fear. She wasn't afraid of Yi Qinghan, but she was afraid of the pain brought to her by the inherited genes and the soul-locking curse. Yi Qinghan's brows twitched. He didn't expect that the pain she suffered during these past few days would be imprinted into her bones. She could still remember it even after the seal. Chapter 940. Yi Qinghan comforted Qin Wentian and found that her soul was really only around 10 years old. He couldn't help but sigh. The stronger one was, the more powerless they felt in the face of such a universe. He handed Qin Wentian over to Jian Qinxue and went outside the Kuang sect. Looking at the desolate Kuang sect, it had lost the liveliness of the past. The number of the older generation was rapidly decreasing, and even the younger generation had to become the main force to struggle and fight. It was as if they had returned to the era of the emperors, where the entire galaxy would be destroyed if they were not careful. Such a familiar plot, but the enemies we are facing are even stronger than before. Yi Qinghan murmured to himself as he looked at the mountains and rivers. He was not a peerless hero, but this was a place that many heroes had sacrificed their lives to protect. Back then, many of his brothers and seniors had sacrificed their lives to protect this place. He might not save the common people, but he would not give up an inch of this place. An inch of mountains and rivers, an inch of blood, 1,000,000 lives, 1,000,000 soldiers. His ambition from back then had not been erased. Every time he returned, Yi Qinghan's blood would be hot and boiling. He would not allow anyone to trample on the endless mountains and rivers, not even a blade of grass could be touched. At this moment, Emperor Yi arranged for Lan Yao to come to Yi Qinghan's side. Following Yi Qinghan's line of sight, he seemed to have discovered that the people from the two factions were still guarding outside the galaxy. A large number of experts were staring at this place. Now they are like maggots looking for an opportunity. If we are not careful, even our bones may be swallowed by them. Emperor Yi sighed helplessly. Where are Qingyu and the others? Yi Qinghan asked in a hoarse voice. They brought the children to the depths of chaos to seek treasures. According to the plan, they should be on their way back. Miss Zixian, Taoist Dong Qin, and Taoist Li Feng are now cooperating with us. Their team is quite strong. Even if they want to attack, they have to consider the price. They want to reap the benefits so that we can survive. Emperor Yi explained the current situation. Yi Qinghan had a rough understanding of the situation. He clenched his fist, and the spear of time appeared in his hand. In just a few short years, he killed half of my inner sect brothers. If I don't take revenge, how can I face them in the future? Yi Qinghan growled as the spear of time constantly vibrated and whistled. The nearby time fluctuations became faster and faster. Who are the experts from the Demon God Mountain and the witch tribe stationed outside the endless star system? Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. The lineage of the great demonic god has the Black Tiger battle form, the Sun-Moon battle form, and the Atlas battle form. The camp of the Sorcerer tribe has the Luminous battle form, as well as a few of the older cultivators of the Sorcerer tribe. Now their combat strength has increased tenfold, and they are able to merge with the current Great Path. They are far from what ordinary people can compare with. Back then, Li Feng was able to kill the Atlas battle form and the Sun-Moon battle form, but now, whether or not he can win one-on-one is another matter. Emperor Yi sighed. Mo Li and Wu Jiang aren't here? Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. They are not here. They are both cultivating the demonic god codex and the secret arts of the Sorcerer tribe. They will not come out for a while, Emperor Yi replied. Yi Qinghan sneered. The two camps had beaten the Guangzong so badly. If he did not kill the two battle forms, he would not be able to face his dead brothers. You stay here. I will go and see what they are doing. Yi Qinghan threw out a sentence and took to the sky. He hid in a different space and kept approaching the periphery of the endless star system. The south of Owl War Star was the fastest way to leave the system. The people of the two camps were stationed there. If the Kwangzong wanted to leave the system, he would have to take a detour and enter the chaotic universe. It would be too difficult to enter the chaotic plane. The two camps were stationed on two dead stars, which blocked the life gate of Owl War Star. They could attack if they wanted to, but they could also guard the exit if they wanted to. It was like two fangs piercing the Kwangzong's neck. A huge system was formed near Owl War Star. It grouped Owl War Star, Owl Falling Star, and a series of other life systems together. There were also many dead stars. Yi Qinghan quickly rushed to the two dead stars stationed there. He found that they had actually changed the order of the stars. Gradually, creatures appeared and turned the dead stars into life planets. There were many powerful warriors stationed there. The weakest were lower god priests, and the most were middle god priests. They were in charge of patrolling and restricting the free movement of the Kwangzong and the people of the endless star system. Lu Zhantian led the battle and was relatively strong. He, Lu Outyin, and Xia Qiue were stationed on Owl Falling Star and other life planets to prevent the people of the two camps from attacking. Yi Qinghan did not disturb them. He lurked from the galaxy to the dead star where the demonic gods were stationed. This time, Yi Qinghan did not prepare to attack immediately. Instead, he looked for an opportunity to kill the people of both camps in one blow. He wanted to let them taste the pain, and then they would naturally restrain themselves. However, it was difficult to kill the battle physique. After all, it was not just one battle physique, but 3 or 4. Even if they fought head-on, they could still beat Yi Qinghan until he could not breathe. Although the Death Star had been changed by the demonic gods and had some life, its essence had not changed. Below it was still limestone without any soil. Yi Qinghan could not burrow into the ground, so he could only lower his body and crawl forward. He discovered that there was an army of more than 100,000 stationed here, with the middle gods serving as the foundation. The lower gods were purely for service purposes. They were in a strict formation, patrolling back and forth. It was very difficult to approach the Death Star quietly, especially since the entire Death Star had been flattened. There was no cover at all, making it even more difficult to advance quickly. The 3 battle physiques were in the center of the camp. They usually did not go out and were always in seclusion. The center of the camp was filled with the best quality divine crystals. The spiritual qi in the surroundings was not inferior to the outside. Yi Qinghan felt the aura of the 3 battle physique. They were indeed much stronger. They were weaker than him, but not by much. If it was a one-on-one battle, he could easily defeat them. If it was a group battle, they could cooperate seamlessly. He was definitely no match for the 3 of them. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and decided to retreat. He would wait for the brothers of the inner sect of the Kwangzong to gather and launch a counterattack. He would try to destroy 1 or even 2 battle physiques in one go. That way, the Kwangzong would have an easier time. However, there was another dead star not far from the Dead Star. The people of the Wu tribe were also stationed there. Once the Kwangzong and the demonic gods were both injured, the Wu tribe would suddenly attack, and the Kwangzong would suffer heavy losses. Yi Qinghan left the Dead Star occupied by the demonic gods and lurked in the Wu tribe's camp again. He found 4 main gods and 1 battle physique. The main god's divinity was also that of the Chaos Giant God. His combat ability was ridiculously strong. I didn't expect them to think so highly of the Kwangzong that they arranged so many experts here. Yi Qinghan's eyes shone coldly. Did the people of the Wu tribe get kicked in the head by a donkey? No matter how bad they are, they should at least give some face to my son. Now, they are even willing to fall out with the Kwangzong for the sake of the ethereal physique. I really don't know who made the decision. Since you don't give me face, don't blame me for being rude. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He decided to eliminate the people of the Wu tribe's camp first and push all the blame to the demonic gods. Chapter 941. Yi Qinghan had arrived silently and retreated silently in the nebula and the Milky Way. After returning to Owl War Planet and paying respects to his ancestors, Yi Qinghan secretly met with Lu Zhantian, Xia Yue, and Lu Outyan, which boosted their confidence and made them ready for battle. Yi Qinghan chatted with them for a while before leaving. Back on Allfall Planet, everything felt so familiar. Yi Qinghan had unwittingly arrived at the Yi clan of the past. Now it was filled with towering buildings and had developed quite well. After thousands of years, not many of his old friends were left. The older generation had all grown old. Yi Qinghan sighed and stepped through the Yi family's gate. He avoided everyone and entered the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. He came to the top of the mountain and found his father Yi Chen's tombstone. Although he was not his father in soul, they were connected by blood. The tombstone was very clean. There were paper money and spirit fruits around it. It seemed like the Yi family often paid respects. Yi Mingxi and Wang Shi had also come. There were traces of them on the tombstone. The anger of the past had already been extinguished. It was all because of the frivolity of youth. Looking back at those things now, Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and shook his head. He knelt in front of the tombstone and kowtowed 9 times. He whispered, "Father, Mengxi and Mother are well. Please rest in peace." It was spring, the time to sweep the tombstones. There were thousands of tombstones. The pillars of the Yi family were all buried here. Yi Qinghan stood up and looked at the tombstone. He actually saw a familiar tombstone with the words Yi Kuang's tomb written on it. The patriarch of the past, for the sake of the Yi family, had to bow and scrape. He could be considered a pitiful person. Yi Qinghan came to the tombstone and respectfully bowed 3 times. His hoarse voice faintly sounded. "I didn't understand you back then, but I do now. Uncle, rest in peace." A clan leader with hundreds of people behind him obviously couldn't fight against a powerful enemy. After all, he had the inheritance of a clan behind him. It was only because he endured humiliation that the Yi clan could continue to this day. His black robes fluttered in the wind, and a lock of hair fluttered in the wind. His back view grew increasingly imposing. 2 little fellows at the foot of the mountain kept on running up. They were about 4 to 5 years old, 1 male and 1 female. Their physiques were very good, and they were already at the blood ignition realm at such a young age. It seemed that the Yi clan's development was not bad. "Don't run around in the ancestral land, come down. Xing Han, Xing Yu." An aged voice startled Yi Qinghan awake. He slowly turned around and saw 2 little ones halfway up the mountain. Behind them was an old woman. She seemed to have experienced the vicissitudes of life, but there was a sense of familiarity in her bones. It was as if they had met before. Yi Qinghan was quite astonished. He was certain that this person was an old friend of his, but he could not recognize who she was. The old woman also saw Yi Qinghan. When she reached the waist of the mountain in a single step, she was dumbstruck. Her entire body was trembling, and her eyes were brimming with tears. Her face was filled with guilt and remorse. "Are you Big Brother Qinghan?" the old woman asked in a trembling voice. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched and he nodded, but he still did not recognize who the other party was. Bang! The old woman directly knelt down and cried out in regret, "Big Brother Qinghan, I'm Yi Xiaomeng. I was young and ignorant back then, but now I know I was wrong. I beg you to forgive me." Yi Xiaomeng, the little girl who bullied Yi Mingxi. She was also punched by Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan could not completely forget her. The memories of his childhood surged into his mind, and when he looked back, he realized that he was already past his prime. Great-grandmother, who is he?" The 2 little ones returned to Yi Xiaomeng's side. They were very sensible and wanted to help her up, but they were unable to move her. Yi Qinghan sighed. How could he bear a grudge for thousands of years over the mistakes of his childhood? With a wave of his hand, he helped Yi Xiaoming up. Get up. It's been so many years, I don't care about it anymore. Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. Then why haven't you come back for so many years? Don't you blame us? We siblings have been very guilty all these years. We wanted you to come back and apologize to you, but they couldn't withstand the ravages of time, so they had no choice but to transfer all their cultivation to me. They wanted me to apologize on their behalf. I've waited for thousands of years and finally you came back. Woo-woo. Yi Xiaoming cried uncontrollably. It seemed that she was truly remorseful. Back then, she had a vicious heart, but now her eyes were filled with kindness. Time really could change a person. Have they all left? I'm still a step too late. Although Yi Qinghan could not be compassionate, he still could not bear it. He scanned the area with his divine sense and finally found the target of those people. They really know that they were wrong. Every day they would talk about it, hoping that you would come back. Even if you didn't forgive them, they would feel gratified if they could see you. But they all left. They died with grievances. Yi Xiaoming sobbed sadly. If we miss it, then so be it. We'll go home and take a look. I haven't been back for so many years. Yi Qinghan looked at Yi Xiaoming, who was past her prime. His only old friend from back then. He took out a very ordinary monarch-level spirit pill and gave it to her. Yi Xiaoming could not bear to eat it. She put it away. Yi Qinghan did not say much. Looking at the two children, he bent down and picked them up. He said gently, "Little guys, your talent is not bad. You've actually reached the blood ignition realm. Quick, call him Patriarch. He's the war god Patriarch that you've been talking about." Yi Xiaoming hurriedly said, "War god Patriarch, my name is Xinghan. This is my sister, Xingyu." The little boy said crisply. "Ha ha ha!" Yi Qinghan laughed. He did not expect that he would actually become a patriarch. He carried them down the mountain. Yi Xiaoming had informed everyone in the Yi clan in advance. Even the collateral family members had come. They stood at the foot of the mountain and knelt respectfully. They did not dare to have the slightest intention of blasphemy. Looking at everyone, although there was no relationship between their souls, they were still connected by blood. "Greetings, Patriarch. Welcome back, Patriarch." Everyone was very excited and also very nervous. This legendary figure of the endless star system was actually a member of the Yi clan. What they did not know was that Yi Qinghan from the Yi clan back then was already dead. This Yi Qinghan was not a member of the Yi clan. Yi Qinghan was also unwilling to mention it again. What happened back then was not the Yi clan's fault. It was the county governor's office's fault. If they had not been so overbearing, things would not have ended up like that. Everyone, rise. Yi Qinghan's consciousness enveloped everyone and lifted them up. The current patriarch of the Yi clan was still Yi Kuang's great-grandson. He had Yi Kuang's power and spirit. Yi Zhanlong came respectfully in front of Yi Qinghan at this moment. He knelt at one side and raised both his hands, taking out an envelope. "Patriarch, before our patriarch died, he left you a letter. Until now, we have never dared to miss anything. The patriarchs of each generation have only one wish, and that is to give this letter to you." Yi Qinghan put down the two children and reached out to take the envelope. It was covered with the passage of time, but it was still very well preserved. Yi Qinghan tore open the envelope. There were only a few words on it, and he almost cried. He did not expect Yi Kuang to feel so guilty towards him and Yi Chen. Chapter 942. I've let seventh brother down and his death is not to be regretted. But Qinghan, uncle has a clear conscience. I hope Qinghan will not be calculative about his childhood and give Yi clan hope. Uncle kneels down and thanks you. The 2 lines of words were written by Yi Kuang. Yi Qinghan looked at them for a long time. He did not have any resentment towards Yi clan. The ones who should be resentful were Yi Mingxi and Wang Shi. After all, Yi clan had killed their only relative. As for Yi clan, Mingxi and Wang Shi came back to visit the Yi clan's grave, which meant that they had already let go. He did not want to pursue the matter. Zhanlong, I'll give you a word of advice. How far Yi clan can go will depend on your execution. Yi Qinghan looked at Yi Kuang's descendant, who was kneeling in front of him, and did not reject Yi Kuang's plea. Old ancestor, please guide me. I will definitely follow your orders. Yi Zhanlong replied respectfully. Attach importance to family ties, laws, and clan rules. If the emperor breaks the law, commoners will be punished the same. Regardless of whether you are related by blood or not, you will be treated equally. As long as you or your descendant are a little unfair, when Yi clan reaches its peak in the future, it will still be a castle in the air. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Yes, old ancestor. Yi Zhanlong quickly replied. Yi Qinghan shook his head. This sentence sounded simple, but who was not selfish? It would be difficult to carry it out. Don't be in a hurry to answer me. Think about it for a while and answer yourself and your clansmen. As for resources, I will have someone send some over. The rest will be up to you. Yi Qinghan disappeared after he finished speaking. Yi Xiaoming looked at Yi Qinghan's departing figure and knelt on the ground. Her life faded away. Her obsession all these years, along with the obsession of her ignorant brothers, existed only for the sake of apologizing. Now that her wish was fulfilled, her life was gone. Yi Qinghan could see that she was truly remorseful, which was why he did not tell her that her brother Qinghan had been killed by their own hands when he was very young. If he told her now, it would only make her more remorseful, and she would not be able to rest in peace. Where it is possible to let people off, one should spare them. Giving others a way out is also giving oneself a way out. We were born from the same roots, so why be in such a rush to destroy each other? A line of words appeared in the air, clearly visible. Everyone from the Yi clan fell into deep thought. After Yi Qinghan returned to the Owl War Planet, he brought Emperor Yi and Qin Wentian back to the Qin clan. During these years, although Emperor Yi had returned to the Owl War Planet, he had never returned to the Qin clan. Maybe it was because of fear, or maybe there were other reasons. Qin Wentian's mental state was like that of a 10-year-old child. He was extremely dependent on the two of them, following them wherever they went. The three of them entered the Qin clan. Back then, the Qin clan was considered a pretty good clan. According to logic, there should still be some old acquaintances. Emperor Yi looked at the familiar courtyard. He pursed his lips and didn't say anything. The Qin family didn't seem to have anything to say about Emperor Yi. No one recognized the two of them. Many of the Qin family members surrounded the three of them and talked about them. Who are you looking for? A young man raised his head and asked. Who is the head of the Qin clan? Where was the oldest elder? Get him to come out and meet us. Yi Qinghan spoke in a low voice. Emperor Yi was extremely nervous. He held Qin Wentian's hand with one hand and Yi Qinghan's hand with the other, as though he was afraid of something. It was unknown how many generations the Qin clan had passed down. Those who could live for a few thousand years were all at least at the emperor level. After so many years, the endless star system had already developed into a mid-tier region. It should be very easy for an emperor-level expert to appear. The arrival of three powerful existences at the Qin clan quickly alarmed the cultivators of the Qin clan. A martial emperor-level cultivator walked out from the rear courtyard. He looked to be in his 30s or 40s. He was very bold and handsome. His temperament was somewhat similar to Ren Huangye's. Greetings to seniors. Seniors, may I know what advice you have for us? The middle-aged man could tell that the cultivation bases of the two emperor-level experts were extremely terrifying. Even Qin Wentian, a little girl with a problem in her intelligence, couldn't fathom their strength. He hurriedly knelt and asked, You are the oldest in the Qin clan? What's your name? Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. I am Qin Yuan. The oldest in the clan is my father. His name is Qin Hao. However, he has been in seclusion for many years. Qin Yuan hurriedly replied. Qin Hao was Emperor Ye's elder brother. Back then, he had met Yi Qinghan a few times. Elder brother is still alive. Emperor Ye's body tensed up as he looked at Yi Qinghan nervously. It seemed like he really wanted to meet Qin Hao. Get Qin Hao to come out and meet me. Tell him that an old friend is here to meet him. Yi Qinghan coldly spoke. Qin Yuan, I'm your aunt. Did your father mention me? Are your grandparents still around? Emperor Yi hurriedly asked. What? You are that traitor? The Qin clan doesn't welcome you. Qin Yuan suddenly shouted in anger. But before Yi Qinghan could move, Qin Wentian had already slapped him. The speed of the slap was astonishing and sent Qin Yuan flying. Bad person, don't talk bad about your aunt. Qin Wentian pouted and said unhappily. Luckily, Qin Wentian didn't use his divine energy. Otherwise, this slap would have killed Qin Yuan. Qin Yuan rolled a few times before coming to a stop. He covered his face and looked at Emperor Yi and Qin Wentian in anger. He coldly laughed and said, You are strong now and can kill me. However, don't expect my Qin clan to acknowledge you. You have been kicked out of the clan. This was the scene that Emperor Yi was afraid of. Hence, he hadn't come back for so many years. This time, he came back with Yi Qinghan. Unfortunately, the outcome didn't change. Emperor Yi was sad. He didn't expect his own elder brother to hate him so much. Even his own nephew hated him so much. Brat, how much do you know about what happened back then? How dare you spout nonsense here? If you dare to spout nonsense again, I will kill you. Yi Qinghan shouted angrily. Lord Battle God, my father told me. Didn't she betray the Qin clan because she wanted to curry favor with you? She caused my grandfather to cough blood and die. My grandparents also hate her to the core. There is no such person in the Qin clan. Qin Yuan said with disdain. Let's go. Yi Qinghan didn't want to have any more interactions with such a clan. They inverted right and wrong and didn't know the truth. What happened back then was described in such a way by Qin Hao. It was simply laughable. Master, I want to see my parents. No matter how much they hate me, I am still their daughter. Emperor Yi felt wronged and cried. He didn't want to explain anymore. He just wanted to take a look and leave. Don't pretend. They were angered to death by you. Get out of the Qin clan. Qin Yuan said angrily. Swish. Yi Qinghan grabbed Qin Yuan and lifted him up. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he said coldly, Brat, trouble comes from the mouth. If you dare to be disrespectful to her again, I will wipe out your Qin clan. Qin Yuan thought that Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan cared about ethics and didn't dare to make a move. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to be so vicious. He was so scared that his face turned pale. Where are your grandparents? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. They passed away a long time ago. Qin Yuan replied in horror. Trash. If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. Go back and ask your father if what happened back then was true. Yi Qinghan shook off Qin Yuan and left Ulfal planet with Emperor Yi and Qin Wentian. Chapter 943. After returning to Owl War Planet, Emperor Yi cried his eyes out. Yi Qinghan felt his heart ache. He didn't expect Qin Hao to be so useless. After so many years, he still didn't want to make up for his past mistakes. Instead, he resented Emperor Yi, the victim. Looking back at the Yi family's attitude, it was like heaven and earth. After comforting Emperor Yi for a long time, Yi Qinghan finally calmed down. Then, he went to Wang Shi's courtyard and saw her with a couple of children. Only then did he know that there was a new member in the inner sect. He knelt in front of Wang Shi and told her about what happened at the Yi family. Old Madam Yi had already thought it through and took the initiative to persuade him. Child, what happened back then wasn't your fault, nor was it the Yi family's fault. This was fate. Now that Meng Shi is living happily, although you aren't my biological son, this body is still hers. You are my child. Now that I have so many children and grandchildren, what's there to be calculative about? If husband and that child knew about this in the underworld, I'm sure they would be very happy. Mother, thank you, Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. Silly child, I should be the one thanking you. Look at how hard it was back then, I didn't even have enough to eat. But now, with so many children accompanying me, I don't have to worry about food and clothing. I'm very happy. Look at that radish head, he's Lu Aotian's child, he's called Lu Huang. That baby with a red belly and a sky-high braid is Xia Qiue's child. They're all letting me take care of them without worry. My old bones are already so old, it's the happiest thing to have a child to take care of. This is all because you risked your life in front of me, so what do you have to feel guilty about? Yi Qinghan knelt beside Wang Shi, unable to speak for a long time. Silly child, if you still feel guilty, then it means that you really don't treat me as your mother. Then I'll leave with Meng Shi now. Wang Shi pretended to be angry as she looked at Yi Qinghan's gloomy face. Don't. Mother, you've given me a second home. You've been my mother ever since you brought little Meng Shi to the mountains that night to look for me with an oil paper umbrella. I've never treated you as an outsider, Yi Qinghan quickly said. Since you're my son, why are you being so calculative with me? You've done a lot for my dead son. I should be the one feeling guilty towards him. I didn't take good care of him and didn't give him a comfortable home. That's why he was beaten to death. After so many years, I've already gotten over it. Don't even think about it. Wang Shi looked at the group of children who were rolling on the ground, and her wrinkled face was full of smiles. Only then did Yi Qinghan feel relieved. Qinghan, when I'm old, bury me in the ancestral land of the Yi family with your father, Wang Shi suddenly said. Yi Qinghan was stunned and looked at Wang Shi again. She didn't look as elegant as she used to be. She had been relying on the accumulation of magical medicine all these years, and her cultivation couldn't improve. She was nearing the end of her life. When there was an end to her divine power, Yi Qinghan couldn't defy the heavens no matter how strong he was. Wang Shi's life was coming to an end. At most, she would live for a few hundred years. For people like her, life and death were already seen through. Yi Qinghan whispered, Mother, do you have any other wishes? Now that you've settled down and established a family, there's only Meng Shi left. She only knows how to cultivate all day and only comes to see me once every 3 to 5 years. I just want to see her get married so that I can leave in peace, Wang Shi smiled. At the mention of Meng Shi, Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. This girl had been cultivating like a madman all these years. He didn't know why. He thought about it and said, Leave this matter to me. Gu has been waiting for her for so long. It's time to get married. When they come back, we'll hold the wedding. After meeting Wang Shi, the stone that was pressing down on Yi Qinghan's heart was finally lifted. He left the wild sect and walked around the ruins of the great Yi clan. Now it was a field of red flowers and green grass. The valley was full of spiritual energy. The resentment of the past had dissipated. Yi Qinghan lay on the grassland and looked at the starry sky. He stopped thinking and felt the breath of the earth. It was as if he had returned to thousands of years ago. The laughter of the great Yi clan echoed in his ears. After a long time, Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and found a group of experts in the sky. They were all familiar people. The leaders were Li Feng, Gu Qingyu, and the others. Whoosh, Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and appeared outside the gate of the wild sect, waiting for the people of the inner sect. Gu Qingyu and the others quickly returned to the wild sect. When they saw Yi Qinghan standing at the gate, they were stunned at first. Then, they burst into cheers. There were familiar faces, and some familiar faces that they would never see again. Yi Qinghan opened his arms and hugged everyone. He said in a hoarse voice, "Brothers, thank you for your hard work. It's not hard work, but it's uncomfortable to hold it in. Damn it, I've tolerated them for a long time. Now that you're back, you should give them a good beating." Gu Qingyu, who had always been calm, could not help but curse. "That's right. I can't wait to smash their heads with this brick. This time, you come back and help me hold one down. I'm going to smash it hard," Shi Gu said angrily. Yan Yunbei and Feng Wuxia had both returned. Qitian Monkey King, Di Longtian, Xia Ziluo, and the others were all first-class experts. They were the only ones left from the older generation. The others were all juniors. Their cultivation levels ranged from Great God to half-step over God. No one had stepped into the over-God realm yet. I will definitely take revenge for this. I want the battle constitutions of both camps to be buried with me. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and roared. The oath from back then was not nonsense. I'll pay back 100-fold for killing a member of the arrogant sect. If you want to take revenge, you have to think carefully. After all, in this era, if we fight to the death with the people from both camps, it'll be very disadvantageous for us. After all, we have the endless galaxy behind us. We can escape, but they can't. Dong Qin, the celestial battle constitution, shrugged and said, "Moreover, these children's cultivation levels are too low. They need a lot of resources to cultivate. Time, everything takes time." Yi Qinghan nodded. They could not fight openly now, but they could still teach them a lesson. The most important thing was to drive this group of people out of the endless galaxy. Otherwise, they would be like two fangs nailed to the arrogant sect's ribs. They would not be able to enter and leave freely, which would limit the arrogant sect's development. Let's take a rest today. Tomorrow, we'll go and learn the strength of the battle constitutions. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and a strange sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Although the brothers were quite happy to be reunited, they were not in the mood to celebrate. So many of their brothers had died, and they had yet to take revenge. Who would be in the mood to drink and celebrate? That night, everyone had a reunion dinner. Yi Qinghan called Shi Gu to the side and told him about Wang Shi's wish. Shi Gu was finally able to see the light of day. He smiled and said, "It's all up to brother-in-law." That night, Yi Qinghan directly broke open Yi Mingxi's seclusion place and dragged her out of the room. Yi Mingxi looked at Yi Qinghan and happily hugged his neck and shouted, "I thought you were dead. You didn't come back for so long. Little girl, you don't have any sense of propriety. What nonsense are you spouting? Who would curse their brother to die?" Yi Qinghan said with a straight face. He, brother is so strong. How can I die?" Yi Mingxi stuck out her tongue as if she had not grown up yet. "Big brother has something important to tell you. Mother's lifespan is coming to an end, and she only has a few hundred years left. It's time for you to start a family. This is Mother's wish. Shi Gu has been waiting for you for so long, and he's become much more stable over the years. His cultivation base has also surpassed yours. Pack up. Once I'm done teaching the two factions a lesson and chasing them away, we'll start preparing for the wedding." Yi Qinghan pretended to be dignified as he spoke. Chapter 944. The repetitive chapters had been adjusted, and the repetitive chapters had been replaced with new ones. There was no need to pay. "Thank you." Yi Qinghan left the bewildered Yi Mingxi behind and returned to his room. That night, he did not stay in the same room as Emperor Yi and Jian Qinshu. Instead, he adjusted his condition to its peak. His 13 divine personas were filled with divine power, and his physical body was also at its best. Then, he organized all the materials he had extorted from the primitive sage realm and put them aside. He was ready to refine the Master God weapon after dealing with the people of the two factions. Lying on the bed, Yi Qinghan relaxed his mind and fell asleep quickly. These days had been too tiring. He slept the whole night without any precautions, and when he woke up the next day, his body was exceptionally comfortable. The insane sect had been suppressed for too long, and there was no need for them to gather. Everyone woke up early and gathered at the gate of the insane sect. If not for the fact that they were worried about Xiao Zhanxing being attacked, even Xia Qiue, Lu Zhantian, and the other guards would have come. Yi Qinghan looked at everyone's excited expression and knew that it was time for the insane sect to regain their confidence and passion. If they could fight the Emperor battle with their passion, the endless star system would become much stronger. Let's go and see how strong the current battle physique is. Yi Qinghan took out his battle spear and rushed to the south. Let's go. I've endured them for so long. It's time to vent my anger. Li Feng was extremely unhappy. Back then, he had killed the sky-raising battle physique, but because of the wonton soup, it was difficult to defeat him. Moreover, the battle physique had become stronger with the return of the great Tao and the establishment of the firmament. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh whoosh! A group of people rushed to the Death Star aggressively, causing the people of the two factions to react quickly. All the battle physiques and master gods came out and immediately recognized Yi Qinghan. Tiger Liang, the black tiger battle physique, shouted angrily, Yi Qinghan, the ethereal physique belongs to my demon god mountain. Don't waste our patience. Give him to me, and I'll immediately withdraw from the endless star system. Fellow Taoist Yi, you can't give him the ethereal body. Hand her over to the sorcerer tribe. Both you and fellow cultivator Emperor Yi have some connections with the sorcerer tribe. Even if you don't want to do this for the sake of the monk, you have to do this for the sake of the Buddha. Fellow cultivator, please reconsider. Ha 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 ha. Yi Qinghan laughed maniacally. His laughter sent chills down everyone's spines as he looked at the hateful faces of both sides. Even now, he was still thinking that he would reconcile with the two factions? Your IQ is worrying. Can't you tell why I'm here today? You actually dare to make a request of me? Fine, your request isn't completely hopeless. Each of us will fight 3 rounds, and the winner will be able to take Qin Wentian away. If you can't win, scram out of the endless star system today. If you don't, I'll come back and beat you up once a day. Yi Qinghan coldly stated. 3 against 3. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi would definitely win 1 round. It was a guaranteed win. Yi Qinghan not only wanted to vent his anger, but he also wanted to vent the anger of the others. Tiger Liang and the others looked at each other and nodded. They had 3 battle constitutions. Sky Pillar could directly admit defeat against Emperor Yi. As for the remaining 2 battle constitutions, one against Yi Qinghan and the other against the strongest, Li Feng, they were confident that they could win. Hence, they immediately agreed to the bet. The Guangwu battle body pondered for a moment. His idea was almost the same as the Black Tiger battle bodies. They could randomly find someone to make up the numbers and lose to Emperor Yi. As for Yi Qinghan, Li Feng, or Gu Qingyu, it would definitely not be a problem. No matter how strong Li Feng was, he was only a half-step over God. As for Yi Qinghan, he had disappeared for so long. Even if he was an over-god, he couldn't be compared to the battle constitutions. Alright. The Guangwu battle body also agreed without hesitation. I'll represent the insane sect to send out the first person. Who's next? Yi Qinghan handed the Spear of Time to Yi Chentian and stepped onto a dead star alone. I'll do it. The Sun and Moon battle body rushed out first, wanting to destroy the insane sect's leader. However, before he could do so, he was stopped by Tiger Liang. Let's fight steadily. You fought Li Feng so many times. He's not as strong as you. You fight him. Yi Qinghan's cultivation base is unknown. I'll fight him. Tiger Liang was very vigilant. He decided to fight Yi Qinghan personally. He had to win the first round first. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The powerhouses of the 3 forces all rushed to another dead star and made it the battlefield. Yi Qinghan landed on a mountain peak. The mountain rocks were gray and lifeless. His powerful aura was restrained. He clenched his fists and sneered when he saw Tiger Liang close behind him. He was ready to use his fists to cripple Tiger Liang and teach Demon God Mountain a lesson. Tiger Liang didn't know that Yi Qinghan's body was already sanctified. He stepped forward and said coldly, "Bring out your weapon. Bring out your grandpa." Yi Qinghan roared as he crushed a mountain peak with his foot. He moved as fast as lightning. The great Tao was simple, and only speed was unbreakable. His fist pierced through the void, and time flowed as he appeared directly in front of Tiger Liang's chest. Bang! Tiger Liang only had time to cross his arms to protect his chest. He didn't even have time to draw his divine sword. There was the sound of bones breaking. His arms were broken. Tiger Liang screamed miserably as his figure flew backward, leaving a deep ravine in the ground. Boom! Yi Qinghan had just landed when he raised his leg and kicked Tiger Liang's neck. Boom! Crack! Tiger Liang's head was smashed into the rock. He was stunned. He couldn't imagine how fast Yi Qinghan was. Yi Qinghan used his powerful body to pin Tiger Liang down. No matter how much he struggled, he couldn't break free from Yi Qinghan's arms and legs. Boom! 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 Bang! Bang! Yi Qinghan rode on Tiger Liang's body, each of his punches landing squarely on Tiger Liang's head. F***CK. I said that if you dare attack the Kuang sect, you'll have to wait for my revenge. How dare you kill so many of my brothers? Today this is the interest, you can keep it. Pa. After Yi Qinghan's punch, he flipped Yi Qinghan over and pressed him down. Then, he waved his hand and slapped Yi Qinghan in the face. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. They didn't expect Yi Qinghan's physical body to be so sharp that he could press Yi Qinghan's battle physique under him and hit him. Was this really a battle between Lord-level experts? There was no technique, only speed and strength. This was the true mystery of the Great Path. Speed and strength were the only things that mattered. In the face of absolute speed and strength, all magical powers were trash. Roar! Tiger Liang unleashed the combat strength of the Black Tiger battle physique and turned into a chaotic black tiger. He roared wildly, trying to break free from Yi Qinghan's control. He smashed the ground with his limbs and flew into the sky, trying to throw Yi Qinghan off. However, Yi Qinghan rode on him and punched him again and again until Tiger Liang's skin and flesh were lacerated. "I'll let you run." Boom! 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 Yi Qinghan's punches rained down on the black tiger. Tiger Liang's fists were a bloody mess. The Sun-Moon battle physique trembled. For a moment, he didn't know if he should be glad that he wasn't facing Yi Qinghan or be terrified. Although Yi Qinghan wanted to build a chaotic Tao body of 9 cycles, he didn't have one now. How could he be so strong? The 5 from the sorcerer tribe looked at each other and suddenly regretted agreeing to the bet with Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was clearly here to vent, which was more despairing and painful than killing people. They were supreme Lord-level experts with battle physique. How could they bear such humiliation? Chapter 945. Tiger Liang was a little dazed from the beating. He rolled and roared in the sky, but he couldn't shake off Yi Qinghan no matter how hard he tried. Yi Qinghan's fists were comparable to divine weapons. Even though Tiger Liang's body was heaven-defying, he was still on the verge of death. The Death Star was about to explode, and smoke and dust filled the air. Boom! The black tiger crashed into the mountain, and his blood stained the ground. His howls gradually weakened, and Tiger Liang was beaten to the point where he had no temper left. "This is only the interest. Go back and tell Mo Li that I'll go find him myself." Yi Qinghan lifted Tiger Liang and sent him flying with a kick. Bang! Tiger Liang's broken body rolled on the Death Star and crashed into a mountain. The mountain rocks exploded, and he only had time to let out a muffled groan before fainting. Sky Pillar and Sun-Moon battle physique glared at Yi Qinghan furiously. They didn't know what kind of strange movement technique he had used to be so fast. Moreover, his body was so powerful that it had reached the sage realm. However, he didn't use any divine abilities, which made the two of them unreconciled. They deeply believed that if they used their divine abilities, it wouldn't be a problem to cripple Yi Qinghan from a distance. "I'll take the next battle." Li Feng drew his sword and walked out. He stared at Sky Pillar and Sun Moon battle physique, and his sword aura soared to the heavens. For a moment, the two battle physiques were unwilling to fight. Neither of them could possibly be Emperor Ye's match. Tiger Liang had lost, and if they fought, it would be the same as sending another person to be abused by Emperor Yi. It would be too humiliating, so there was no need to fight. "I'll take the last battle." Gu Qingyu saw through their thoughts and couldn't help but sneer. If they didn't fight now, how could they abuse him? How could they take revenge? Emperor Yi had become a spectator. Their strongest didn't fight, which reinvigorated their confidence. Sky Pillar glanced at the Sun-Moon combat physique and whispered, "You deal with Li Feng and I will deal with Gu Qingyu. As long as we defeat them, our mission will be complete." The Sun and Moon combat physique held the divine sword and moved the hilt. His vigorous body stepped toward the battle zone. He stared at Li Feng and said coldly, "We will raise the stakes for this battle. As long as I win, you will return the Sun and Moon divine sword to me." The Sun-Moon divine sword had already been exchanged by Dongqin for the 3 requests of sword god Dugu. Not to mention exchanging it, even if he didn't exchange it, he couldn't return it to the Sun-Moon combat physique. Otherwise, his strength would suddenly erupt by more than 10 times. Yi Qinghan sneered. He was well aware of Li Feng's strength. Li Feng had not made a breakthrough yet, but he was looking for an opportunity. Once he made a breakthrough, it would be difficult for Yi Qinghan to win. The Sun and Moon combat body would not be able to defeat Li Feng. "Sure, but what if you lose?" Yi Qinghan replied coldly. "If I lose, I will immediately withdraw from the endless star system." The Sun and Moon combat physique said in a muffled voice. "No, change it to other conditions. If you dare not withdraw today, I will beat you once a day until you get lost. Why would I need to use the Sun and Moon divine sword as a stake?" Yi Qinghan replied disdainfully. "Then what do you want?" The Sun and Moon combat physique asked angrily. "Divine art, sword rainbow piercing Sun and Moon. It is your innate divine art. If you want to exchange it with sword rainbow piercing Sun and Moon. If you win against Li Feng, not to mention your Sun and Moon divine sword, I will also return the star saber to you." Yi Qinghan sneered. The Sun and Moon divine sword and the star saber were the top 10 combat weapons in the past. They were definitely more powerful than the Spear of Time, but it depended on who was in control. The solitary sword god could only exert 10% of its power. In the hands of the Sun and Moon combat physique and the star combat physique, the power would immediately increase by 10 times. The Sun and Moon combat physique hesitated. The stakes were too high. If they lost, they would go for wool and come home shorn. The sword rainbow-piercing Sun and Moon was a top-notch divine art that could increase combat power by 10 times. It was also the strongest killing move to kill experts of the same level. If it was leaked, the consequences would be unimaginable. Emperor Yi waved his hand, and the star saber appeared in his hand. He patted it gently and deliberately showed it to the two. Since the star saber was here, the Sun and Moon divine sword must be here as well. "It is really in your hands." The pupils of the Sun and Moon combat physique and the Atlas combat physique shrank. They were completely sure that they had taken the 2 most precious divine weapons from the grave of the first-generation Atlas combat physique. "Do you dare to bet?" "If you don't dare to bet, then don't talk to me about increasing the stakes," Yi Qinghan said coldly. "Fine. I'll bet with you." The Sun and Moon combat physique went all out in order to take back the Sun and Moon Divine Sword and the Star Saber. Be careful! The Atlas combat physique retreated and returned to Tiger Liang's side. He put a divine medicine into the latter's mouth and woke him up. After waking up, Tiger Liang glared at Yi Qinghan with gritted teeth. Yi Qinghan ignored Tiger Liang and began to retreat, leaving enough space for the two. The Sun and Moon combat physique slid his legs and drew a circle on the ground. He formed a seal with his palms and his divine power roared out. Sun and Moon rising blue sky. Whoosh! The divine power converged into two huge suns and moons, illuminating the galaxy. The sun was scorching hot and the moon was cold. They blocked the Sun and Moon combat physique from the front and back, growing larger and larger. The dead stars were burned into nothingness by the scorching sun. The astral wind was biting cold and the battle robes fluttered. The juniors of the arrogant sect could not withstand such a terrifying aura. They all hid behind Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. The two once again led the arrogant sect to retreat. Their aura rose and blocked the Sun and Moon combat physique's aura. Li Feng drew his sword. The sword aura soared into the sky, and the sword whistled incessantly. His figure flashed into the void, wanting to pierce through the Sun and Moon and kill the Sun and Moon combat physique. Boom! The Sun and Moon combat physique suddenly moved and roared, sword rainbow unsheathed, piercing Sun and Moon. The Sun and Moon combat physique controlled the sword and became one with it. The sword pierced through the Sun and Moon, and the destructive sword aura turned into tens of thousands of sword auras that tore through space and time, directly surrounding Li Feng. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Li Feng was as fast as lightning, launching tens of thousands of attacks in the blink of an eye, shattering every sword move that came at him. However, there was still a gap between his strength and that of the Sun and Moon combat physique. Every step he took was frightening, and the slightest carelessness could lead to his death. This was the feeling of death that Li Feng wanted. It stimulated every soul cell and enhanced his soul perception by hundreds of times. Every space texture was clearly visible. Swish, 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 swish. Two figures flew into the sky and the earth, and the sword aura was terrifying. Sword rainbow piercing Sun and Moon. The first style, destruction of all directions. A long rainbow pierced through the past and present, and the sword aura destroyed all directions. Even the cultivators on the periphery felt a tearing pain and kept retreating. Whoosh! Li Feng mobilized the 7 divine personas to form a sharp sword. With a shake of his hand, the sword aura intertwined with the opponent's attack. No matter how stable the space was, it couldn't withstand such destruction. The space in all directions kept collapsing, and a space-time black hole was formed. It was like a demon opening its mouth to destroy the universe. Li Feng retreated step by step. He didn't have enough divine power, and this consumption was too fast. It would be difficult for him to win if he didn't become a Lord God. No matter how heaven-defying his cultivation was, he couldn't win. Break. Boom. The sword aura soared into the sky, and Li Feng's aura suddenly rose. The Lord God position was mighty, and the chaotic aura in the sky formed a tornado and poured into his body. The aura of death forced him to break through. Chapter 946. Li Feng had no choice but to break through in the end. He was forced to retreat thousands of meters by the Sun-Moon combat constitution. His divine robe was shattered, and he was covered in blood. However, at this moment, his aura finally erupted. A sword aura shot through the clouds and destroyed all obstacles in front of him, shattering the Sun-Moon divine power. Thud! 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 2 figures were sent flying by the sword aura. In the blink of an eye, they turned around and attacked each other again. This was a real battle between master gods. Although they hadn't reached the level of the real Chaos Giant God, they were definitely not something ordinary Master Gods could look up to. However, Li Feng had rich combat experience. He had been struggling on the edge of death all year round. Whether it was his positioning, changing moves, or other aspects, he was far better than relying on the inherited Sun-Moon combat constitution. Li Feng's Godhead sword merged with his body. With his powerful strength and experience, he gradually stabilized the battle and began to counterattack, forcing the Sun-Moon combat constitution to retreat. Whoosh, whoosh. The sword aura kept tearing the space apart. The sharp sword aura was terrifying. The two sides were entangled on the battlefield. Suddenly, Li Feng's divine sword separated. A godhead broke through the Sun-Moon combat constitution's defense and directly pierced through his body. Puff! The Sun-Moon combat constitution screamed. A bloody sword spurted out from the bloody hole in his chest. His divine body crashed into the distance. Hum! Li Feng turned his body and turned into a sword. He drew two sword auras and slashed at the Sun-Moon combat constitution's chest and knees. Whoosh! The Sun-Moon combat constitution obviously had to protect the vital part of his chest. His legs were exposed and were directly cut off by the sword aura. The moment his legs left his body, the Sun-Moon combat constitution hit the ground. He didn't scream or feel any pain. He just looked at his legs in a daze. Because the sword was too fast, there wasn't even blood flowing out. He moved slightly and his legs began to spurt blood. No! The Sun-Moon combat constitution screamed. He wanted to protect the wounds on his legs with his divine power, but the order of the wounds was controlled by Li Feng. It was difficult to completely heal them. The Atlas combat constitution helped and suppressed the wounds together to stabilize them. Yi Qinghan smiled, ignoring the injuries of the Sun and Moon combat physique. Instead, he said indifferently, "Please hand over the Sun and Moon penetrating sword rainbow spirit technique. Don't force my hand." The Sun and Moon combat physique's face turned ugly. He did not expect to lose to Li Feng again. His actual combat experience was much worse than Li Feng's. Now, asking him to hand over his natal divine art was more painful than taking his life. Impossible! The Sun and Moon combat body took a deep breath and chose to repudiate the debt without hesitation. Then don't blame me for being impolite. Yi Qinghan stepped forward. With a shake of his hand, the Spear of Time appeared in his hand. If you dare to kill me, the Demon God Mountain will wipe out the endless star system tomorrow. The Sun-Moon battle physique threatened. Really? Yi Qinghan grinned wickedly. I'll erase all three of your battle constitutions and surrender to the Magi. Don't you think the Magi will be happy? The luminous martial battle physique's eyes lit up when he heard this. He thought Yi Qinghan was serious. Hand over the wager obediently and I'll spare your 3 lives. Don't think that I won't dare to kill you. Those who know me know that I'm even afraid of myself when I go crazy, Yi Qinghan said in a domineering tone. The Atlas combat constitution's combat strength was the weakest. At this moment, he did not dare to resist. Instead, he pulled the Sun and Moon combat constitution and ran towards Tiger Liang. Swish! Yi Qinghan's figure moved and appeared beside Tiger Liang. He raised his hand and was about to kill Tiger Liang. Give him the divine art. Tiger Liang took a deep breath and his pupils constricted. He could tell that Yi Qinghan really dared to kill the 3 of them when he went crazy. Both sides would suffer great losses and the Demon God Mountain would benefit from this. The Sun and Moon combat constitution had no choice but to give the complete divine art to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan skimmed through it. There were no problems, so he stopped paying attention to the 3 battle constitutions. Instead, he stared at the luminous martial battle physique and the 4 overgods beside him. The 5 of them were so frightened that they hurriedly retreated. A fine bird chooses a fine tree to nest in. However, I don't know which camp to surrender to now. After all, you are all enemies and have attacked my insane sect. Since we have offended the demon god mountain today, it would be unfair to all of us if we don't kill a few of you from the Magi tribe." As soon as Yi Qinghan finished speaking, the faces of the 5 people from the sorcerer tribe changed drastically. Swish! Yi Qinghan moved. His spear pierced through the Milky Way. The flow of time within 10,000 miles slowed by 10,000 times. His figure seemed slow, but the luminous martial battle physique and the others were even slower. Pucci! Yi Qinghan's spear pierced through an overgod's body. His godhead was extracted, and his body was reduced to dust. He didn't even have time to scream before millions of vines suddenly rushed out of Yi Qinghan's body and swept away his flesh and blood. Not a single trace of blood was wasted. Bang! After killing one with a spear, the luminous martial battle physique was about to counterattack. Yi Qinghan raised his leg and kicked a overgod, smashing him into a rock. His body shattered and was swallowed by the star-twisting vines. "Yi Qinghan, are you going to fall out with the Magi tribe?" the luminous martial battle physique said angrily. "No, no, no. How can I fall out with you completely? As the saying goes, there are no eternal enemies and no eternal friends. When you joined forces with the demon god mountain to kill my insane sect, you should have thought of today's situation. Go back and tell Wu Yan that this matter is not over. If he provokes me, I will take the insane sect and the ethereal body to the demon god mountain and wipe out your Magi tribe." Yi Qinghan said coldly. "How many have we killed?" "Most of the insane sect's people were killed by the demon god mountain." "What kind of logic is this?" the luminous martial battle physique roared angrily. "That's why I crippled them. Now is the best chance for you to kill the 3 of them. Do it." Yi Qinghan sneered. Killing 2 overgods of the Magi tribe and making them fight each other would be beneficial to him. If the Magi tribe really destroyed the 3 overgods today, the Magi tribe would prosper and the insane sect would not benefit. Yi Qinghan would not do such a stupid thing. Tiger Liang was furious. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so vicious. He wanted to kill with a borrowed knife without taking any risk. "Let's go." Tiger Liang swallowed a divine pill, rolled up the sun and moon battle physique, and fled into the distance. He even abandoned the army stationed on the Death Star. The luminous martial battle physique knew that this was the best chance to kill the 3 overgods. How could he give up? He immediately rushed over with the remaining 2 overgods. For a moment, the sky was filled with divine light and murderous intent. The Atlas battle physique followed Tiger Liang into the sky, but the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Yi Qinghan rubbed his hands and smiled. He said indifferently, "Since their masters are fighting, let's add fuel to the fire and let them fight too." The insane sect's people laughed. They did not expect that the insane sect's matter would end up in a fight between the 2 camps. "Your brain is still the best. You're so cheap." Gu Qingyu shrugged. He did not even have time to attack, but watching them fight each other made him feel particularly happy. Zixien curled her lips and looked at Yi Qinghan. She had fused with Yi Qinghan's soul before. His brain was definitely the strongest in the universe. Coupled with that cheap bird, no one could trick him. She could not help but feel lucky that he was not an enemy. Otherwise, she would not even know how she died. She had to thank him. Wasn't this the embodiment of the luminous martial battle? 2 of her subordinates had been killed, and now she had to thank Yi Qinghan for creating such a good opportunity for her to hunt down the 3 overgods. Little did she know that Yi Qinghan only wanted them to suffer. Chapter 947. As expected, under Yi Qinghan's instigation, more than 20 armies from the 2 camps on the dead planet engaged in an intense battle. Blood flowed like a river. Yi Qinghan left after the matter was settled. He hid his achievements and reputation and watched the battlefield from afar. Instead, he quietly interfered to ensure that both sides were in a stable state. Both sides were seriously injured. In just 6 hours, the two camps' 200,000-strong army had been wiped out. Corpses piled up like mountains. Yi Qinghan and the rest returned to Owl Warstar with peace of mind. However, not long after, the divine power fluctuations in the depths of the galaxy suddenly increased several times over. Powerful killing auras spread far and wide. It seemed that the 3 injured battle constitutions were not the only ones involved. There were also the 3 sorcerer tribe members and other powerhouses. As it turned out, the powerhouses of Demon God Mountain had received Tiger Liang's distress signal and sent reinforcements to fight the luminous martial combat constitution trio. The sorcerer tribe members followed closely behind and joined the battle. As a result, the number of people on both sides increased, and the battle became more and more intense. Yi Qinghan and the rest hid in the depths of the galaxy out of curiosity. They could not help but snicker to themselves when they saw that the number of people on the battlefield had increased to several hundred. The number of casualties increased, and the hatred grew. Tiger Liang and the Sun-Moon Combat Constitution were severely injured. The luminous martial combat constitution was unwilling to give up such a great opportunity. He chased after the 3 battle constitutions with all his might. In the galaxy, he fought against heaven and earth. His sword pierced the heavens as he chased after the 3 battle constitutions. Qingtian was also injured. If it weren't for the 3 constitutions working together, none of them would have been able to compete with the Guangwu battle constitution. Moreover, even at their peak, the 3 constitutions weren't ranked as high as the Guangwu battle constitution. Even if they worked together, they could only fight and run at the same time. Yi Qinghan and the rest snickered in the depths of the galaxy. They realized that people from both camps were still rushing over. There were already casualties among Lord-level powerhouses and countless half-step lords. Demon God Mountain demanded that they protect the 3 battle constitutions at all costs to get their revenge, while the sorcerer tribe wished to kill the 3 battle constitutions at all costs. Should we add fuel to the fire and kill the Sun-Moon Combat Constitution completely so that they'll have a better time killing us? Shirgu asked excitedly. Everyone was excited as well. They wanted to blow up the matter even more. The Demon God Mountain would definitely be infuriated with the loss of a battle constitution. They would not let the sorcerer race off the hook. However, Yi Qinghan shook his head and said, "There's no rush. Let them fight. Let's not interfere. Let's return to the sect and celebrate." With that said, Yi Qinghan led the way and left quietly, leaving these people to kill each other. Soon, the news of the annihilation of the armies on the 2 Death Stars reached the ears of the higher-ups of both sides. They were so angry that they sent out their experts, wanting to kill the other side's experts. After 3 days, more than 50 lords from both sides were killed or injured. Countless half-step lords and high gods were killed or injured. The Sun-Moon Combat Constitution was almost killed, and it would be difficult for him to recover in a few hundred years. Even the Luminous Warrior Combat Constitution was severely injured. This incident was known as the Poison God Incident. Yi Qinghan, who planned this incident, was known as the Devil Killer. Long after this incident, both sides realized that this incident was all planned by Yi Qinghan. The 2 Death Stars were occupied by the 2 armies sent by Yi Qinghan. The battlefield was cleaned up, and all the divine weapons were handed over to the armies. The godhoods were readily available, and the 2 armies were quickly built. Yi Qinghan had collected many overgod godhoods. These overgod godhoods would definitely be defeated in the later stages. However, the Ether's Path still did not exist, so they could still be used for a while. Therefore, Yi Qinghan mobilized a large number of resources and selected a portion of loyal Outer Sect disciples to create a batch of overgod. The overgod weapons were all 9 dragon swords, the weapons of the Godslayer path. After the Poison God incident, both sides suffered heavy losses. They no longer had the strength to deal with Yi Qinghan. A year later, Yi Qinghan created more than 30 overgods in the Mad Sect's outer sect. However, their abilities were mediocre. These people knew that their realms would be defeated when the Ether's path reappeared, but they were still happy to enjoy the overgod's godly power. After all, most people would find it difficult to reach the overgod level in their entire lives. Moreover, in the later stages, when the Ether's path reappeared, it would be even more difficult for an overgod to appear. Among the more than 10 people in the inner sect, only Di Longtian was the overgod. As for Li Feng, they were just partners. During this time, Shi Gu and Yi Mingxi held a banquet. Under the witness of Yi Qinghan and the Wang clan, they held the dual cultivation ceremony. Many of the Shi clan's direct descendants also came. Shi Ji's father had already become a lower god and was still alive. He was invited to Owl Warstar. After the happy event, Yi Qinghan began to rebuild the endless star system. He reclaimed the old mountains and rivers and discovered potential experts. He was preparing to fight against the two factions for a long time. The Mad Sect had built outer sects on various major planets. All the geniuses were recruited. The Mad Sect entered a period of rapid development. The inner sect's younger generation of more than 30 people became the Mad Sect's supervisors. They enforced justice on behalf of the heavens and controlled the laws of the endless star system. Yi Qinghan, Zixian, Dongqin, and the others went deep into the chaos to search for resources and treasures. Occasionally, they would venture into the chaos plane. At this time, the two factions were not in the mood to pay attention to the Mad Sect. Yi Qinghan and the others breathed a sigh of relief. After more than 3 years of exploration, Yi Qinghan gradually drew a star map near the endless star system. He found that the Jiuyou land was actually in the chaos plane, but it was an independent space. Although the people from both factions had no intention of dealing with the insane faction, they were still capable of punishing the insane faction. It was difficult for the insane faction to obtain good resources from the chaos dimension. They could not even buy divine tier elixirs, let alone overgod tier resources. Yi Qinghan's mind became active. Since the Mad Sect could not buy it, then he would support an agent in the chaos plane and build a puppet sect. He would use it as a bridge for the Mad Sect to integrate into the chaos plane. However, things were not that simple. The people from the two factions were not fools. It was impossible for them not to know that the Mad Sect was supporting a puppet sect. Therefore, they had to control the sect through the Jiuyou land. Great Sovereign Shura was the most suitable candidate in Yi Qinghan's mind. Therefore, Yi Qinghan brought some resources to visit the 9 Remoteness Master. When he found that the 9 Remoteness Master was still angry with him, he had to put down his pride. He smiled and said, "Master, how have you been these years?" The 9 Remoteness Master raised his eyebrows and glared at Yi Qinghan. He said, "Who are you? When did I have a disciple like you?" "Master, you are a magnanimous person. How could you lower yourself to my level?" Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. "Don't try to worm your way into being friends with this old man. If you have something to say, say it." The 9 Remoteness Master looked at Yi Qinghan with disdain. He knew that Yi Qinghan must have something to ask of him. Otherwise, he would not have come to the Jiuyou land to be bullied. Yi Qinghan grinned and said, "Master knows me best. The Mad Sect is in trouble and wants to open a path to the chaos plane through the Jiuyou land. Therefore, I would like to ask Senior Brother Shura for help to build a sect in the Tanlang territory. My Mad Sect will support it from behind. We will expand and develop it into a top force. The resources we get will be split 20 to 80. You don't have to do anything and can enjoy 20% of the profits." Chapter 948. When 9 Remoteness Master heard Yi Qinghan's suggestion, he raised his eyebrows and snorted. What do you mean I don't have to do anything and I'll get 20% of the profits? If I help you open the path to the chaos plane, won't I bear the risk of falling out with the two camps? 50-50, no less. Master, listen to what you're saying. If we really fall out, you won't need to be at the front. I'll definitely be the one at the front. I won't let you go against the two camp. I'm a filial disciple, so I'll give you another 10% of the resources. 30-70. After all, I have a big family and many geniuses need cultivation and resources. Don't cut off my way out, Yi Qinghan said solemnly. 30-70 is not a problem. Give me a magic art. Any kind of magic art will do, as long as it's a powerful one from the Chaos Era, 9 Remoteness Master said immediately. Among the powerful magic arts from the Chaos Era, Yi Qinghan did not know any of them except for the ones he inherited from Emperor Yi. If he had not extorted the Sun and Moon Combat Physique's natal magic art, the crazy sect would not have had any resources. However, one magic art was enough. The crazy sect would not differentiate between the magic arts so clearly. Of course, this was limited to the group of people in the inner sect. 9 Remoteness Master was not an outsider. Yi Qinghan said straightforwardly, no problem. The crazy sect only has one magic art. It's the natal magic art of the Sun and Moon Combat Physique, the sword rainbow-piercing Sun and Moon. I'm here to give it to you. How could I not think of you when I have something good? Yi Qinghan's righteous look made 9 Remoteness Master blush. He was very touched, but he did not know that Yi Qinghan did not want to give it to 9 Remoteness Master for free. Instead, he was prepared to use it in exchange for 9 Remoteness Master's help. Ahem, it seems that I've misunderstood you. I didn't expect you to still remember me. My love for you back then was not in vain. 9 Remoteness Master coughed dryly. Yi Qinghan grinned and took out a jade slip. Recorded on it was the detailed cultivation method of the sword rainbow-piercing Sun and Moon divine art. It was no secret that all the sword Dao experts in the inner sect were cultivating it. The 9 Serenities Lord lacked divine power arts, and the great divine powers were in the hands of the 2 major camps and some powerful sections. He could not compete for them, so he could only rely on Yi Qinghan now. Therefore, he accepted them without hesitation. You and Shura can discuss the rest of the matter yourselves. Don't look for me if there's nothing important. 9 Remoteness Master took the jade slip and returned to his god palace. Yi Qinghan arrived at Grand Venerable Shura's territory. Now that he was a half-step lord and had consolidated his physical body, he could enter and leave Abyss freely. As soon as he saw Yi Qinghan, he immediately laughed out loud. Junior brother, long time no see. Senior brother Azura, long time no see. I have good news for you this time, and I also need your help. Yi Qinghan went straight to the point. What good news? Grand Venerable Shura asked curiously. Yi Qinghan took out the star map he had drawn and spread it out on the table. He pointed at the Greed Realm and said, Senior brother, help me establish a Shura sect here. I'll provide some people to help me conquer the nearby 30 regions and turn the Shura sect into a sect that both camps will want to rope in. How many lords do I need? Am I strong enough? Grand Venerable Shura asked blankly. You don't have to worry about the lords, and you don't have to worry about your strength either. I'll provide you with a Lord Divine Core, and you don't have to fight. I'll get someone to impersonate you and make a name for yourself in a single battle to establish your prestige. When I need you to fight, there'll be a stand-in to fight for you. Yi Qinghan immediately explained, when the time comes, all of you will wear the Azura mask and the Azura saber without showing your faces. All of you will use the same cultivation technique and the Azura soul-seeking saber technique. All of you must be ruthless and neither righteous nor evil. You must make the 2 factions feel that they can rope you in. When the time comes, you will follow the wind and not offend anyone. Do we have someone like that? Grand Venerable Shura was puzzled. Establishing a sect required people, and with so many experts appearing at once, unifying equipment and secret techniques wouldn't be easy. Don't worry. I'll take care of them myself. You need to establish a sect in the greedy wolf realm first and slowly develop it. 3 years later, it'll explode. At that time, no one will suspect me, Yi Qinghan replied. Then what do I need to do? Grand Venerable Shura asked. As long as you lay a good foundation in the greedy wolf realm, and spread the word that the Shura sect's inheritance dates back to ancient times, you'll have an explanation for what happens when the time comes. Yi Qinghan had already considered the situation in the later stages. At most, it would take 2 or 3 years for the Shura sect's name to spread. When do we start? This is very simple for me. I'm a rough man, so I'm suitable for this kind of rough work. I'm not like you, full of wicked ideas, Grand Venerable Shura said excitedly. Whenever it's convenient for you, senior brother. I've prepared some people for you in the early stages. There will be people from the greedy wolf realm to support you, and people from the nearby small realms will also go to support you. Your sect will have smooth sailing. If anyone dares to make things difficult for you, just flatten them. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. All right, leave it to me, Grand Venerable Shura said solemnly. After that, Yi Qinghan brought Grand Venerable Shura back to the Endless Star System and gathered more than 300 saber experts from the Endless Star System. Yi Qinghan spent more than a month deriving the Shura soul-seeking saber technique. Every slash of the saber snatched the soul, and the technique was vicious and deadly. Then, he spent another 10 days forging 100 Shura sabers. They were about 1 meter long and had sharp blade. Ordinary divine weapons would break upon contact with them. The blades were narrow, and the resistance was minimal. As long as the user knew how to use them well, they could increase the speed of the wielder by 30%. Shura sabers, Shura masks, and Shura battlesuits. They were all equipped in the same way. This group of people were native warriors of the Endless Star System. Their loyalty to the Mad Sect and Yi Qinghan was unquestionable. Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to waste half a year's time deriving this set of sword techniques to perfection. He had this group of swordsmen cultivate and fight each other. The hellish training had crippled more than half of them. They were constantly eliminated and selected. Yi Qinghan had sufficient resources. Under the acceleration of the arcane mystery of time, half a year was equivalent to 10 years in the outside world. This group of genius swordsmen, whose cultivation levels were not even emperor level, had been forcefully trained to half-step lord level by Yi Qinghan. Many people envied this group of people. However, what they did not know was that during this half a year of hellish training, under the personal supervision of Yi Qinghan, more than 10 people had died. Half of them were crippled, and their Tao hearts were shattered. Out of more than 300 people, only 100 were selected. More than half of them had been eliminated. This group of people's silhouettes were uniform. Whether in terms of teamwork or individual strength, they were definitely invincible kings. These days of training had made them less impetuous. No matter what kind of genius they were not geniuses in the face of a terrifying monster like Yi Qinghan. From today onwards, you are the Shura battle squad. To your enemies, you are the Shuras who take their lives. I have created you not to serve me or the Mad Sect, but to fight for the Endless Star System. For the people behind you to have a safe and comfortable living environment. For the sake of not letting your enemies trample on the bodies of your family members. During the War of the Emperors, countless heroes died. You will inherit their mission and inherit their glory. What I need is your absolute loyalty. Loyalty to the Endless Star System. Can you do that? Yi Qinghan looked directly at the 100-person squad and asked in a deep voice. Chapter 949. The 100 members of the Azura squad were excited. The War of the Emperors was a legend in the endless star system. Many people regretted being born a few thousand years later. However, they didn't know that the endless star system had been a barren place. It was already shocking enough to have a single emperor. How could it be like now, where lesser gods were everywhere? To be able to protect the endless star system, we will die without regrets, everyone said in unison. Good. Remember what you said today. I hope I didn't misjudge you. From today onwards, you will wear mask. You will have no name. You will be called Azura. My senior brother Shura will bring you into the voracious wolf plane. You are from the Shura sect and no longer from the endless star system, so you don't know me. Unless I bring this Shura token to you, don't recognize me. Just pretend you don't know me. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice as he held a golden Shura token. Understood. We obey the war god's decree. The members of the Azura squad shouted in unison. Take your Azura tokens. Each of you has a corresponding number, from 1 to 100. If you have the Azura token, you will be there. If you lose it, immediately kill yourself. The life tokens you left in the endless star system will automatically shatter. No one will have the chance to impersonate you, and your comrades won't be killed because of your mistakes, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Understood. Everyone obeyed without hesitation. This order was to prevent enemies from infiltrating the endless star system. Each person had a Azura token. If they died, the Azura token would automatically shatter. It was equivalent to a life token. No one could impersonate it. Grand Autarch Azura had been working hard on his cultivation recently, and had gone through far more terrifying training than any of these people. His Azura saber technique was even more profound than the Azura squad's, and he had nearly been tortured to death by Yi Qinghan. He had fought Gu Qingyu, Li Feng, King Equal Heaven, and the others, and had been beaten to a pulp. However, he had made significant progress. Not only had he formed his own godhood, but he had also assimilated another godhood. As a godlord with two godhoods, he was definitely strong. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied with Grand Monarch Azura's progress. He patted Grand Monarch Azura's shoulder and said in a low voice, Senior brother, you've worked hard. When you reach the voracious wolf plain, go to the Shao family of the eastern mountain ridge and find Shao Xingyang. He'll arrange everything for you. In addition, I'll arrange for Xian Yanxue and Shui from the mythological plane to meet you. They'll help you come up with a plan. Shao Xingyang, the frenzied sword cannon monarch, and many of his old friends were still in the voracious wolf plane and the mythological plane. It was time for them to reunite. Grand Monarch Azura's confidence had multiplied. His current strength was incomparable to half a year ago. In the case of time acceleration, it was equivalent to 10 years of hard cultivation. During these 10 years, he had fought dozens of people from the eccentric sect's inner sect to hone himself. His cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. At the same level, he might not be able to defeat Gu Qingyu even after fighting for an hour. Don't worry, junior brother. I promise I'll get this done beautifully for you, Grand Monarch Azura said as he patted his chest. Later, Great Master Azura led the Azura squad into the 9 nether plane from the endless star system. Then, they sneaked into the chaotic world from the 9 nether plane. They traveled at night and rested during the day. They quietly entered the voracious wolf plane, occupied a large mountain range, and began to build a sect. Grand Monarch Azura personally went to the eastern mountain ridge and looked for Shao Xingyang. Shao Xingyang contacted the frenzied sword cannon monarch. They were both local forces and top-notch half-step lord-level powerhouses. They were very prestigious. A day later, the voracious wolf territory spread the news that the Azura sect, an ancient sect from millions of years ago, had risen from the ashes. They described the Azura sect in detail. One person spread the news to 10 people, and 10 people spread it to 100 people. After a day, the news had spread all over the voracious wolf territory. After that, the mythological territory, Qinghe territory, and more than a dozen small territories in the vicinity began to talk about the Azura sect. It was as if their sects had really crossed paths with the Azura sect. It was true that 3 men made a tiger. This saying was applicable in any era. No matter what level a person's cultivation was at, they would follow the rumors. Yi Qinghan had long grasped the hearts of the people. Through some connections, he had extended the history of the Azura sect to millions of years ago. Even if the 2 camps investigated, they would not be able to find out that the Azura sect was just a small sect that he had just founded. The Azura battlesuit was very simple and unadorned. It was obvious that it had a lot of history. An ancient sect emerged from the mountain range overnight and forcefully occupied half of the voracious wolf territory. The next day, the Shao clan of the eastern mountain ridge announced that they would submit to the Azura sect. On the 3rd day, the frenzied sword cannon monarch led his teammates and announced that they would submit to the Azura sect. The Azura sect's reputation soared. Their powerful formation made people believe that they were real. They killed people without batting an eye. Not only were they vicious, but they also annihilated sects and clans. However, those who were observant could see that the people they killed were all notorious forces. Those who could be slightly improved were basically suppressed and persuaded to surrender. On the 8th day, the Azura sect occupied the entire voracious wolf territory and changed its name to the Azura territory. On the 10th day, Grand Sovereign Azura led his team into the myth domain and assassinated the 10 past lords of the Violent Dragon Empire, forcefully annexing the Violent Dragon Empire. The Violent Dragon sect was furious and demanded that the Azura sect withdraw from the myth domain. The atmosphere was tense. In fact, all of this was just a show directed and acted by Yi Qinghan. Those past lords who were assassinated were his own people. He did not kill them at all. Instead, he replaced them with some people. The real past lords had already changed their faces and continued to be loyal to the Azura sect, helping them guard the various passes. Xian Yinshu and Shui Er were hiding in the Violent Dragon sect of the Violent Dragon sect, waiting for Grand Sovereign Azura's arrival. Everything was proceeding according to Yi Qinghan's plan. The rapid expansion of the Azura sect alarmed the 2 factions. When the Azura sect annexed the Clear River territory and 3 smaller territories nearby, they already had 300,000 outer disciples. Although their equipment was similar to the Azura battle teams, the quality was much worse. Their combat strength was also much worse. However, their quality was extraordinary and their sect rules were strict. The impact was very strong, and it attracted the experts of the 2 factions to come and persuade them to surrender. At this time, the Azura sect might seem powerful, but in reality, in the eyes of the 2 factions, it was still a dispensable cannon fodder. Yi Qinghan wouldn't choose to take a stand at this time. Xian Yanxue was as smart as a ghost. She didn't even need Yi Qinghan to say anything. She had Grand Sovereign Azura use words to fool the 2 factions. On the surface, the Azura sect submitted to the 2 factions, but in reality, they wouldn't listen to anyone. Half a month after the Azura sect's eruption, they began to encounter some true experts. Yi Qinghan wore the Azura battle armor, wore the Azura mask, and wielded the Azura saber. He silently entered the Azura territory, which was also the Greedy Wolf territory. His equipment was exactly the same as Grand Sovereign Azura's. Yi Qinghan had disguised himself as Grand Sovereign Azura. His physique was almost exactly the same, from the saber to the clothes. Now that the 2 of them stood together, let alone outsiders, even the members of the Azura battle team couldn't tell them apart. I will help you establish your might. From now on, your name is Azura King. The sects and experts I kill will all be named Azura King, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Chapter 950. Yiqing Han's arrival was quiet. Even the frenzied sword cannon king and Xian Yanxue did not know about it. The only one who knew the truth was Grand Sovereign Shura. Grand Sovereign Shura was still expanding his territory and recruiting Shura's sect. All the swordsman geniuses were recruited, but they were not qualified to cultivate the complete Shura soul-seeking saber technique. There were a total of 36 forms in the technique, and there were 12 basic forms. The outer disciples cultivated the 12 basic forms. If they wanted to cultivate the 24 or 36 forms, they had to make contributions and exchange them with contribution points. Of course, contribution points were exchanged through merits and treasures. 10,000 contribution points could allow them to learn one more form, which stimulated the fighting spirit of the outer disciples. Everyone wanted to join the Shura inner sect and cultivate the complete Shura soul-seeking saber technique. They could also join the Shura battle team and obtain a uniform saber, Shura armor, and Shura mask. It was an honor. At the same time, the Endless Star System was also recruiting swordsmen. However, it was the inner sect who actively sought them out. Once they found a genius swordsman, they would quietly bring him back to the Mad Sect to train. The frenzied blade cannon king joined the Azura squad and assumed the position of captain. Under his leadership, the surrounding dozen or so small regions were all subdued and unified, gradually forming a medium-sized region. However, as time passed, it was only a matter of time before they encountered an opponent. In less than a month, they encountered a powerful region that was inextricably linked to the Demon God Mountain. The Chaos God territory was considered a medium-sized territory. It was as large as the total territory that the Shura sect had recently occupied. There were 3 major holy sects that shared the territory. They were the Chaos God sect, the Lama sect, and the Thousand Tao sect. The 3 major holy sects were deeply rooted in the Chaos God territory. They suppressed each other and fought openly and covertly. However, when the territory was divided into 3, they were destined to be entangled. Neither side wanted to completely destroy the other. Whichever side was stronger, the other 2 sects would join forces to suppress the stronger sect. When faced with an external enemy, they would join forces. The 3 major holy sects all had lords, and the lords had cultivated lesser divinity skills. Although they were not as good as greater divinities, they were still much stronger than lords who had no foundation. The Azura battle squad had broken into the Chaos God territory. There were 101 half-step lords. Not only that, they had the same cultivation methods and equipment. Their attacks were unparalleled, and they had no problem killing lords when they joined forces. Within 3 days, they had fought their way deep into the Chaos God territory. However, they were stopped outside the Eternal Mountain by the Thousand Tao sect's sect master, who led the entire sect. After a day of fighting, the Thousand Tao sect had lost more than half of their members, but half of the Azura squad had been injured. The Frenzy Blade Cannon Monarch had suffered the heaviest injuries and could only defend a mountain range and wait for reinforcements. The Thousand Tao sect's sect master was a middle-aged man. He looked at the Azura battle team with disdain and coldly snorted. "Brat, you dare to provoke my Thousand Tao sect? Are you all idiots? Don't you know we have the Demon God Mountain behind us?" The forces in the Chaos God region were complicated. There were vassals of the Demon God Mountain and vassals of the Shaman tribe. However, they didn't have direct contact with the Demon God Mountain. The Lama sect was part of the Shaman tribe, and the Chaos God sect was a vassal of another powerful sect. If the Azura sect wanted to expand their territory, they had to get rid of these 3 people. The Frenzy Blade Cannon Monarch didn't say a word. He ordered the uninjured members of his squad to guard the perimeter and let the injured members heal. They had already sent back a distress signal, so they believed reinforcements would arrive soon. The Azura battle team was very decisive and never needed to speak. To the outside world, they were mute. No one even knew their gender. Everything was shrouded in mystery. The Thousand Tao sect's head elder looked at the Azura battle team's deployment and whispered, "Sect Master, they seem to be waiting for reinforcements. Why don't we take this opportunity to join forces with the Lama sect and the Chaos God sect to destroy this mysterious Azura battle team?" The Thousand Tao sect's sect master coldly said, "Go and contact the sect masters of the other two sections. Tell them to come here in the morning, or else I'll let the Azura battle team go and let them kill each other." Soon, the Thousand Tao sect's head elder contacted the experts of the other two sections. They knew each other very well. Although they were fighting with each other, they knew that outside forces couldn't interfere in the Chaos God realm. They immediately decided to help the Thousand Tao sect destroy the Azura battle team first. The two sects sent out thousands of elite disciples, and the sect masters personally moved out. The two main gods quickly charged toward the Thousand Tao mountain range. Yi Qinghan was also moving quickly. He jumped through space from the greedy wolf realm and charged toward the Chaos God realm like an arrow. The Azura blade in his hand tore through space, making people tremble in fear. Time slowly passed. The three sects of the Chaos God realm quickly gathered with the support of the other sections. The pressure on the Azura battle team increased, but they weren't afraid at all. They believed that once they sent the signal for reinforcements back, someone would come to save them. The Thousand Tao sect's sect master looked at the people from the other two sects and shouted, "Don't say this old man didn't give you a chance. Take off your masks, put down your weapons, and submit to my Thousand Tao sect. Then I'll spare your lives." The members of the Azura battle team still didn't say a word. They all stood up with the Azura blade in their hands, ready to fight to the death. The moonlight dissipated, and the morning sun in the east emitted a blood-red color, indicating that a storm was coming. Blood would dye the world red. The summer wind blew, and a cool breeze made people feel sleepy. The deep eyes behind the Azura mask revealed the will to die, and the Azura blade gradually unsheathed. At this moment, Yi Qinghan quietly appeared in the Chaos God realm. He didn't alert any powerful existences and appeared in the Thousand Tao mountain range. He coldly watched as the three sects closed in on the Azura battle team. "This is the legendary Azura battle team? I thought they were very powerful, but I didn't think they couldn't even beat the Thousand Tao sect. Ha ha, what a joke!" A fierce voice exploded in the air, breaking the silence of the morning. "Humph, randomly sealed? What do you mean? Are you saying that my Thousand Tao sect is also a joke?" The sect leader of the Thousand Tao sect was very dissatisfied. He coldly looked at the newcomer. The Azura battle team was indeed very powerful, or else they wouldn't have waited until now. Luan Feng was the sect leader of the Chaos God sect. He was a king god and cultivated the chaotic arrows piercing the heart. He carried a big bow on his back, and it was said that he could shoot 3,000 arrows at the same time. You don't even have a king god to deal with a small Azura battle team. Isn't that a joke? If it was me, I alone would be enough. Luan Feng took out his big bow and mocked with disdain. Ha ha, is that so? I want to see how powerful you are to be able to destroy the Azura battle team alone. The sect leader of the Thousand Tao sect sneered. If I kill these pieces of trash, their spoils will belong to my Chaos God sect. How about it? Luan Feng was interested in the Azura blade and Azura battle armor. They hadn't broken even after fighting for so long, so they must be top-quality treasures. With these 100 sets of equipment, the Chaos God sect's strength would increase greatly. The sect leader of the Thousand Tao sect's expression changed. However, after thinking about it, the Thousand Tao sect couldn't destroy the Azura battle team even after fighting for an entire day. Luan Feng alone couldn't destroy the Azura battle team. Sure. If you can kill the Azura battle team alone, you can take all the equipment. If you can't, you'll have to give me 100,000 top-quality god crystals. The sect leader of the Thousand Tao sect was not someone to be trifled with. He immediately took advantage of the situation and said, "Then we'll wait." Luan Feng sneered. He pulled the bowstring with his big hand, and divine power poured out. The space around him cracked, and his divine power condensed into hundreds of huge arrows. In the blink of an eye, they pierced through the air and shot toward the Azura battle team. Whoosh! At his peak, Luan Feng could shoot 3,000 arrows. These 100 arrows were only 10 times more powerful. Killing 100 half-step lords would be a piece of cake. Whoosh! 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 Each arrow was aimed at the throat of an Azura battle team member. Before the arrows hit, Luan Feng pulled the bowstring again, trying to kill the Azura battle team twice. Whoosh! The Azura battle team's powerhouses formed a huge barrier in an orderly manner. They only defended and did not attack, waiting for reinforcements. However, a black silhouette suddenly appeared between the arrows and them. The 100 arrows stopped a meter away from the black silhouette. They were completely still. Without any struggle, they gradually dissipated in the air. "It's Azura!" The members of the Azura battle team looked at the silhouette. They could not tell if it was Yi Qinghan or Grand Venerable Azura. They all thought it was Grand Venerable Azura. Chapter 951. Yi Qinghan stood not far in front of the Shura battle team. The 100 arrows disappeared without a trace, and there was no sign of his divine power. There was the sound of a saber, and the saber gleam shook the sky. Yi Qinghan did not say a word, and the Shura battle saber appeared in front of Luan Feng's chest. Boom! The saber split the bowstring, and even the bow was cut in half. The saber was as sharp as lightning, and it cut through Luan Feng's body like a hot knife through butter. Poochie! Luan Feng's body was torn apart, and blood splattered everywhere. The godhead rushed out of his head, but it was caught by Yi Qinghan. A cold snort penetrated the godhead's defense, and Luan Feng's soul screamed miserably, but it disappeared in an instant. The sect master of the Thousand Tao sect was tense, and he was terrified. Meanwhile, the sect master of the Lama sect, who had just arrived, was wearing a Lama robe. He put his palms together and looked at the Shura battle team in front of him. He stepped into the Chaos God sect's elite disciples' camp, and his saber aura pierced through everyone's defense. Corpses fell to the ground, and blood flowed everywhere. The mournful screams stopped abruptly, and everything returned to chaos in the end. The sect masters of the Lama sect and the Thousand Tao sect retreated in fear. Their bodies trembled, and they did not dare to look directly at the Shura battle mask. The sect master of the Lama sect quickly put his palms together and bowed. "You've misunderstood, my friend. We're just passing by. We're from the witch tribe. Please don't misunderstand. My friend, the Thousand Tao sect is from the Demon God Mountain. What are you trying to do?" The sect master of the Thousand Tao sect was on high alert. He retreated dozens of steps and growled. The more they acted like this, the more terrified they were. Yi Qinghan did not want to say much. This was just a battle to establish his authority, to help Grand Sovereign Shura establish his authority. Swoosh! Yi Qinghan's silhouette flickered. His behavior was completely different from his usual self. In the past, he had been bold and domineering. Now, his movements were peculiar. He was like an Azura, and his saber chased after their souls as he charged toward the people from the Thousand Tao sect. His moves were as smooth as flowing water, and he killed all of the half-step Lord-level elders and overseers. With a swing of his saber, he slashed into the Thousand Tao sect's sect master's back, penetrating his body directly and shattering all of his organs. Even if this kind of Lord God cultivated a small spell, it was far from comparable to his battle constitution. It was impossible for him to exchange a few blows with Yi Qinghan. The Thousand Tao sect's sect master didn't even have the chance to use any of his strength before he died. After Yi Qinghan destroyed the Thousand Tao sect, He turned and walked toward the Lama sect, forcing the 3,000 members of the Lama sect to retreat. Who are you, fellow Taoist? We have no enmity between us, so there's no need for you to kill us all, right? The old Lama asked warily. Yi Qinghan waved his saber and carved the words Azura King into the void. The words were vivid and lifelike, as if they were alive and contained the Tao of Azura. Boom! Yi Qinghan gently waved his hand, and the 3 words Azura King directly tore through the void, piercing through the old Lama's body. His Lama robes turned into powder and dissipated. The people of the Lama sect didn't even have the chance to react before the sovereign died. Swish! Swish! The Azura soul-seeking saber technique was executed consecutively. 36 forms, and each saber strike was used to kill people. It transformed into the Azura soul-seeking saber technique, shuttling back and forth among the people of the Lama sect. Each saber strike killed one person, leaving no trace behind for 1,000 miles. Azura! The Azura battle team was also stunned. They didn't expect Grand Sovereign Azura's strength to be so terrifying. The Frenzy Saber Cannon Monarch frowned, as if he was doubtful. However, he still led everyone in roaring, and their auras reached their peak. When Yi Qinghan arrived, he turned and left the Chaos God region. The battle in the Chaos God region had alarmed all the elite. The Azura King's attack was terrifying. He was already comparable to a super first-rate Master God. The 3 Master Gods had been killed before they could even make a move. The 3 major sects had been uprooted. The 2 camps and the forces behind the Chaos God sect were furious. They didn't expect the Azura sect to not give them any face and even kill their people. Is this Azura King courting death? If our Demon God Mountain doesn't do anything when our vassals are uprooted, who will be loyal to us in the future? The Demon God Mountain sent out a message. The Atlas Battle Physique personally took action and rushed towards the Chaos God realm. The Sorcerer Race's camp thought the same. The Azura King had to die. Otherwise, the Sorcerer Race's camp would lose face. The Sorcerer Race sent a direct descendant of the Sorcerer Race's older generation, Lord God, to rush towards the Chaos God realm. He only had one goal: to kill the Azura King before the Demon God Mountain's people arrived. The force behind the Chaos God sect was the Return to One sect. They cultivated the Return to One sect's 10,000 methods technique, which contained thousands of methods. They were ridiculously powerful and couldn't be compared to the 2 camps. However, the people from the 2 camps wouldn't ask for trouble by provoking such a huge force. A young expert walked out of the Return to One sect. He was as elegant as jade. His body moved with the technique, stirring up thousands of miles of white clouds. Yi Qinghan didn't have any control over the Chaos God realm at the moment. He could only wait passively. At the moment, he was guarding the center of the Chaos God realm, not far from the Azura battle team, in case the 2 camps retaliated and destroyed the Azura battle team. After the Azura sect annexed the Chaos God realm, they stopped expanding and reorganizing. They wouldn't be able to achieve anything in one go. They might even die from overeating. Now they had to develop step by step to gain a firm foothold. The resources that the Azura sect occupied were handed over to the Azura sect for distribution. All of them were used to cultivate disciples and nurture the Azura battle team. For a time, many sword cultivator powerhouses appeared. Many people were watching the reactions of the 2 camps. As soon as the Azura sect gained a firm foothold, they would immediately join and become a member of the Azura battle team. The Azura inner sect was mobile because there were only 101 members. Wherever they were, that was where the inner sect was. There was an Azura outer sect in every region that was desperately trying to expand the team. As soon as a talent appeared, they would immediately be taken away to train. The Azura sect's expansion speed was far beyond everyone's imagination. Back then, the 2 camps had only sent a second-rate half-step lord to persuade the Azura sect to surrender. Now, they had sent an older powerhouse with combat constitution and direct bloodline of the sorcerer clan elder to suppress the Azura sect. Their attitudes had clearly changed. If the powerhouse with combat constitution and sorcerer clan elder's generation were severely injured, the two camps would truly see the Azura sect's position. By then, they would definitely not kill the Azura sect. Yi Qinghan had already seen through everything. Everything was going according to his plan. Now, the only thing he had to do was wait for the people from the two camps to arrive. As for the people from the unifying sect, Yi Qinghan did not care about them at all. If they dared to send anyone over, he would definitely kill them. As for the combat constitution, he did not want to kill him at the moment. He did not want to completely fall out with the two camps. On the second day after the destruction of the three major sects in the Chaos God territory, the Atlas Combat Constitution arrived with a spear. He was discovered by Yi Qinghan as soon as he stepped into the Chaos God territory, and the two of them engaged in a fierce battle. As Yi Qinghan was worried about exposing his identity, he completely erased all traces of his previous battle and used a brand new movement technique to fight the Atlas Combat Constitution. Although the Azura soul-seeking saber technique was only an ordinary lord-level saber technique, in Yi Qinghan's hands, it could still unleash the power of a lesser divine ability. It was not inferior to the combat constitution. After exchanging 3,000 blows, the Atlas Combat Constitution was no match for Yi Qinghan. He was slashed into the ground, then slashed dozens of times until he was a bloody mess. If Yi Qinghan had not shown mercy, the Atlas Combat Constitution would have been hacked to death long ago. In the end, the Atlas Combat Constitution fled in panic. The Azura King's reputation immediately soared. Another existence that surpassed the combat constitution had been born. He was another great legend after Li Feng and Gu Qingyu. Chapter 952. The news that the Atlas Combat Constitution had been severely injured spread like wildfire. Many people began to wonder if the combat constitution was really that invincible. Not only had he been defeated by the two top fighters of the Guangzhong sect, but this inexplicable person who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere was also able to force the combat constitution to flee. Atlas used to be invincible except for the supreme gods. No one could compare to it, but now it was so weak. In fact, Atlas couldn't be blamed. He was unlucky enough to meet Yi Qinghan. Now that the Great Path had been shattered and the sky had been destroyed, although the chaotic universe had reappeared, it would take a long time for the Great Path and the sky to be re-established. The advantage of Atlas was almost gone. Even so, he could still defeat 99% of people. There was no doubt that Atlas was powerful. Yi Qinghan crippled Qing Tian and purposely let him go. Then, he came to a beautiful valley and sat cross-legged in front of a waterfall. Spiritual energy spread out along with the water vapor and blew against his face. His ink-black hair fluttered in the wind, and the vigorous face under the Azura mask revealed a trace of unswerving determination. For Yi Qinghan, it was easy to conquer, but he was only willing to protect a small area in the endless star system. He had poured all his feelings into that place. Too many heroes had died there. Countless ancestors had sacrificed their lives to protect that place. He couldn't bear to let others trample on that place. Emperor Shang, Great Emperor Pangolin, Great Emperor Su. Yi Qinghan still hadn't forgotten the tragic situation of Great Emperor Su protecting his territory. Great Emperor Pangolin would rather lose his body to protect the endless star system. If the endless star system is gone, what's the point of having a remnant? Those words echoed in Yi Qinghan's mind. They still made his blood boil. Protecting the endless star system was not only a responsibility, but also an obligation. No matter what, I have to protect the endless star system. No matter what happens in the future, don't provoke the Guangzong. Yi Qinghan leaned against a rock and continuously picked up small rocks to throw into the stream. The clear stream water was so clear that one could see the bottom. The valley was filled with a myriad of colors and peach blossoms. When the wind blew, the peach blossoms fell and hit Yi Qinghan on the shoulder. Yi Qinghan did not cultivate. Instead, he spread out his divine sense in all directions, waiting for the arrival of his enemies. Suddenly, Yi Qinghan's brows twitched. He looked into the starry sky and saw a silhouette approaching from the north at an extremely fast speed. If he wanted to locate the Azura battle squad, he would have to pass by this place. Hence, he did not go forward to meet them. However, not long after, another figure rushed out from the west. Their speed was almost the same, and they had probably arrived at the same time. He couldn't help but sit up straight. The saber in his hand kept twitching, and the force around him kept fluctuating. Swish! 2 streaks of light shot over from the west and north respectively. They had also noticed the force erupting from Yi Qinghan's body. They knew that Yi Qinghan was deliberately attracting their attention. Whoosh! The 2 figures flickered and landed in the valley. One of them was a young man in his 20s. His eyes were clear, and his face was as handsome as a woman's. His legs were long and slender, and his pure white robe was spotless. Even the scabbard in his hand was white. He was probably a person with serious mysophobia. He was the last direct disciple of the 10,000 Laws returning sect master, and his only disciple, by Shaoxing. He had never met a worthy opponent in the 10,000 Laws returning sect. The other person was a vigorous middle-aged man in his 50s. His eyes were sinister, and he was extremely majestic. He gave off a terrifying feeling, making people fear him but not respect him. This person was a direct descendant of the sorcerer tribe Wu Long. He was the son of the 4th-generation sorcerer god. His cultivation was profound, and his battle strength could only be described as terrifying. "You are the Azura king?" Wu Long frowned and asked. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up and nodded. He did not speak. "I am Wu Long of the sorcerer tribe. Wu Yen of the 9 Revolution Chaos Dao body is my nephew. You should know why I am here this time. How dare you kill a subordinate force of the sorcerer tribe? Do you still have any respect for the sorcerer tribe?" Wu Long asked coldly. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. This was the first time he heard someone introduce him as his nephew. Was this guy afraid that people would not know that he was the sorcerer god's uncle? "I am asking you a question. Are you dead?" Wu Long asked angrily. "Someone from the sorcerer tribe's camp?" Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. If someone was not familiar with Grand Sovereign Azura, they would not be able to tell that this was not his voice. "Lama Zong, don't play dumb. If you don't give me an explanation today, you can forget about leaving this place. The Azura sect will also be destroyed." Wu Long reprimanded. "Lama Zong. He is blocking my way. What explanation do you want? Just like the sky-raising battle physique. Will you be slashed back by me?" Yi Qinghan asked coldly. "Arrogant brat. My nephew can kill hundreds of people like you." Wu Long was disdainful. He kept talking about Wu Yen. Yi Qinghan laughed hoarsely. He could tell that Wu Long was a person who relied on his nephew to travel the world. This kind of person could only scare people with his family background. He really did not want to talk to him anymore. He changed his voice and said, "Wu Yen is indeed strong. Unfortunately, you are not. The sorcerer tribe has sent the wrong person. Get lost. Go back and tell the sorcerer tribe that the Azura sect does not want much territory. The 300 small regions around here are all the territory of the Azura sect. Tell your people to leave immediately, or I will destroy them all." Wu Long and Bai Shaoxing frowned. Bai Shaoxing was able to hold it in, but Wu Long couldn't. Wherever he went, there would be people following him. Who would dare to go against his will? After being mocked by Yi Qinghan, Wu Long was furious. He lost his mind and pulled out his sword to stab at Yi Qinghan. Bang! Pooh! How could Yi Qinghan's speed be comparable to that of an old man who relied on his nephew? He lifted his leg and kicked Wu Long's chest. It was as if Wu Long was the one who bumped into him. But after that kick, Wu Long's body was thrown back like a kite with a broken string. He spat out blood and bile. Before he landed on the ground, Yi Qinghan used his scabbard and slapped him on the face. He fell to the ground and mud splattered everywhere. However, it did not destroy the elegant illusion in the valley. Ouch! Wu Long screamed. A few of his teeth were broken by the scabbard. His front teeth were also broken. What was worse was that his right cheek was swollen like a few protruding protrusions. The red mark was shocking. How dare you hit a tiger? My nephew is Wu Yan. Wu Long roared angrily. He mentioned his nephew again. However, his teeth were leaking and he could not even speak clearly. Bai Shaosheng was originally in a bad mood. Now, he was amused by Wu Long's expression. With a puff, he leaned against a huge rock and laughed. You're not a tiger. At most, you're a sick cat. Don't use Wu Yan to scare me. Fram. Yi Qinghan's murderous aura filled the valley. A large number of peach blossoms fell and danced in the wind. It was a unique scene. Chapter 953. In the valley, peach blossoms danced in the air. One of them was laughing so hard that he was convulsing, one of them was as cold as Azura, and the other was in a miserable state. His clothes were ragged, and he looked like a beggar. He glared at Yi Qinghan angrily. This is hilarious. I've seen so many rich kids, and they all say their father is so-and-so. Today I've seen it for myself. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. How dare you say my nephew is so-and-so? Does Wu Yan know that you're using his name to trick people? Bai Shaosheng laughed so hard that he almost cramped up. You're courting death. Wu Long roared. He wanted to tear the two of them apart. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Shaosheng, who was laughing like crazy, and asked, What are you doing here? Are you just here to laugh and watch? I'm here to get even with you. You dared to kill the affiliated sect of the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect. Do you know who my father is? Ha 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 ha. Bai Shaosheng pretended to be serious. No one knew if he was mocking Wu Long, but he couldn't help but laugh. Wu Long roared. He could tell that Bai Shaosheng was trying to provoke him. He roared, Just you wait. After that, Wu Long didn't have the face to stay any longer. He turned and ran. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Shaosheng expressionlessly. He vaguely felt that Bai Shaosheng was strong, but his brain wasn't working very well. How could he laugh so hard over such a small matter? Was he that easily amused? Let's get back to business. I don't need to make you kneel and beg for mercy. Apologize to the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect in front of everyone, give us 300 Chaos Divine Source, and let me take the remaining disciples of the Chaos Divine sect away. The world will see that the Shura sect is giving face to the 10,000 Arts Return to Origin sect, but not to the other two camps. It's interesting just thinking about it, Bai Shaosheng said proudly. Yi Qinghan wasn't interested in teasing a child, so he said coldly, You're really ambitious. If you don't want to die, then get the hell out of here. Also, get rid of all the affiliated forces in the nearby 300 regions. Otherwise, they'll be uprooted by the Shura sect within a year. Azura King, I'm not that old bastard who relied on his nephew to make a living. I'll give you face, but you have to give me face too. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Bai Shaosheng's aura changed, and a golden whip appeared in his hand. Judging from its appearance, it seemed to be the spine of some kind of creature. However, it had been refined using a special method, causing it to shine with a cold light that could steal one's soul. Yi Qinghan was no longer courteous. He drew his saber and charged forward. With a sweep of his saber, the force of his saber cut through the void. However, it did not destroy any of the plant. It was clear how terrifying his control over his saber chi was. Bai Xiaoxing's pupils shrunk. He tapped on the void with the tip of his foot and retreated. He waved the bone whip in his hand, and it was extremely sharp. Even if it hit an overgod, it would be able to whip their soul and shatter their body. The trajectory of the bone whip seemed to be random, but in reality, it was impossible to dodge. Its speed was so fast that it turned into a swimming dragon and wrapped around Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was as fast as lightning. His figure followed the trajectory of the bone whip. When the bone whip touched the Shura battle armor, it did not hurt him at all. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan continued to move and got close to Bai Xiaoxing. He continuously slashed out the 36 styles of the Shura soul-chasing saber technique. Every move was fatal. It contained the laws of order and time, delaying Bai Xiaoxing's reaction. The edge of the saber tore apart Bai Xiaoxing's white battle armor. 1 slash, 2 slashes. Bai Xiaoxing's speed was indeed fast, and his combat strength was terrifying. Every time Yi Qinghan tore his battle armor, he would retreat in advance. He was not injured until now, but his outer clothes were completely torn apart. His inner armor was also shattered, and his skin was gradually exposed. Yi Qinghan did not seem to want to kill him. He started to attack his clothes. After finishing the 36 styles, he raised his saber and directly tore Bai Xiaoxing's clothes apart, exposing his body. With a scream, Bai Xiaoxing even abandoned the bone whip. He covered his chest with his hands and retreated a few meters. He screamed, "You pervert! Are you a man?" Yi Qinghan was also stunned. He didn't expect Bai Xiaoxing to be a woman. When her clothes were flung away, her entire body was exposed, and her towering white legs were in full view. He was shocked and didn't attack because he was stunned. Otherwise, the blade would have slashed across her chest and flattened her like a door. Yi Qinghan looked at Bai Xiaoxing in a daze. He also retreated a few steps and was stunned on the spot. "You are still looking, bastard! I'm going to kill you!" Bai Xiaoxing's voice turned into a woman's voice. He wanted to bend down to pick up the bone whip, but when he stretched out his hand, he realized that his divine robe had been destroyed by Yi Qinghan. He retracted his hand. "It's actually a woman?" Yi Qinghan put away the Azura saber and pushed it to the side, no longer attacking. This was the first time Bai Xiaoxing encountered such a situation. He was a little stunned and forgot that he could use his divine power to create a divine robe. Yi Qinghan had to remind him. He said hoarsely, "Use your divine power to create a divine robe to cover yourself first. I don't have women's clothes." Only then did Bai Xiaoxing remember. He quickly created a white battle robe, grabbed the bone whip, and rushed towards Yi Qinghan. He wanted to silence him. Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed the bone whip. He said coldly, "I just don't want to kill. Don't force my hand. Don't think that I won't kill just because you are a woman." The insane sect was still in its early stages of development. If he offended such a strong sect, the other party would definitely use a method of mutual destruction. When that happened, the Azura sect that he had painstakingly created would be completely destroyed. This was not in line with Yi Qinghan's plan. Bai Xiaoxing could no longer smile. His entire body had been seen by Yi Qinghan. How could he face others if this were to spread? "What did you see?" Bai Xiaoxing asked angrily. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. He felt that Bai Xiaoxing was an idiot. He was not blind. It was so big and so white. What else could he see besides a pair of white buns? "I didn't see anything," Yi Qinghan replied unhappily. "What? It was so big. Are you blind?" Bai Xiaoxing felt that he was insulted and immediately scolded. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. This kind of unruly young lady deserved a beating. However, he held it in. He could not afford to fall out with the 10,000 arts returned to Origin sect for the time being. He suppressed his anger and replied hoarsely, "Why do you ask if you know it was so big? Do I have to tell you that I saw everything? I don't care. You have to seal this memory. Otherwise, I will fight you to the death." Bai Xiaoxing's handsome face was slightly distorted as he roared angrily. "Not interested. I will never seal my memory. You can still leave now. Otherwise, I will strip you naked and throw you into the crowd." Yi Qinghan threatened coldly. Bai Xiaoxing was trembling with anger. If he could defeat Yi Qinghan, he would definitely fight with his life. "Remember to take away all the affiliated forces of the 10,000 arts returned to Origin sect. Don't compete with me. I just don't want to be enemies with the three of you for the time being. Otherwise, the three of you will die," Yi Qinghan said sternly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.